Welcome to Movie Dumpster Season 8, Episode 2. Today we're talking about The Hand from 1981, directed by Oliver Stone. The cult classic that was Oliver Stone's first big-budget movie. I'm Joe Lascola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
And I'm Logan.
Welcome to The Dumpster. Here we are, man. Logan, first time in the video dungeon, in the flesh. Here he is, sitting here. There he is.
What do I do with my hands? I don't know what to do.
You can just, look, man, you're sitting right next to me. You can put him right on my leg right there if you want.
There we go.
A little massage. Oh, that's happening for real, in real time.
I was going to say sit on them, but that works. Warm them up a little,
Good, yeah.
Get the blood flowing.
Yeah, man.
Give yourself one of those, sit on the left hand and then jack off. What was a stranger?
Yeah, they call it stranger. Well, you jerk off with the hand that you don't. Oh, do you make it go numb? And then you do it. I thought it was the opposite hand.
Cumdar would know.
Yeah,
Just real quickly, Logan here, bringing the Cumdar shirt.
Yeah.
We still got to bring you guys the Dumpster Roller goddamn Cumdar shirt, but Logan here with the initial.
Ultimate Cumdar.
That was a gift. Okay, that was drawn lovingly by Logan.
Yeah, just to
from loads unknown.
From loads.
Maybe he made it with a stranger while he had a stranger going,
and it was.
This hit so dumb.
Oh yeah,
Rangers.
Yeah.
I'm coming.
Strangers. There you go.
Oh, I'm gonna give you a fucking stranger.
Go back to the Valentine episode to find the origins of this madness. But yes, Cumdar, a legend in the movie Dumpster universe.
Oh my goodness gracious! Yeah, I thought I had a Video Villa shirt, but I do not, which is bonkers to me. But I'm also wearing this Alf shirt that Logan had drawn for me, and he's wearing his own little movie dumpster shirt. I think I've worn it before, but I wanted to wear it in honor.
I appreciate it.
Of Logan being on the show. You also gifted us The Lizard's Tale, the original novel that The Hand was based on. We're going to talk about that in a second. But before we do that, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you're doing, what's your podcast?
So my podcast is Video Villa Entertainment. I'm one half of it. My other partner, who's not here right now, is Becca, my wife. It's a movie review podcast where we talk about movies that make us laugh, cry, and sometimes need therapy over. But it's just a good time. Like, we try to recreate that, pick out the best movie to rent from the video stores on a Friday night. And that's just like, we talk about movies everywhere from like Carrie to like Shrek 2. So all genres, everything. There's no exceptions on our channel. So.
And didn't you name your show after like an old video store that you used to go to?
My local video store was Video Villa. It was your first place for home entertainment.
That's so cool, man.
Small town in Mount Pleasant. They're not called that anymore. They're called Cruise Connections now. But
do they still sell movies and video games?
Really? So some places there are still people who don't have internet and they don't stream.
Apparently, Christopher Walken is one of them. I saw online. He gets his copies of his movies on DVD from the fucking Apple or whoever. I was like, what?
No, really. They upgraded to Blu-rays not too long ago. They told me. So I doubt there's any 4Ks in there. But
interesting.
Once we get those 6K releases, Joe, that I know you're waiting for, that's when they'll get them.
There's
8Ks.
No. There's no reason for it.
But yeah, they're still around and kicking and stuff like that. So when we started the channel, I was just like, you know what? It was a big place in my growing up. Me and my sister going out. The best days were you can pick out a game and a movie.
Oh yeah, man.
So,
and a piece of candy.
Oh
right?
yeah. They had the popcorn, and it was cool because they also had a fish tank that you could feed the little goldfish.
Oh, that's awesome.
And stuff like that.
Did they have one of those big gumball machines that you turn?
Yeah.
And you can get if you can get a free rental or something from it.
Another cool thing is too, they were also it's a small town, so everyone knew each other. Yeah. So my dad knew the lady who worked the counter named Phyllis. And I remember when the Pokemon...
Diller?
I know.
Yeah, of course.
Poopin' herself?
Yeah, it was Poopin' Plats, yeah.
When the new Pokemon movie came out, and it came out with a special Mewtwo Pokemon card.
Yeah, I remember
I was
that.
little, and I walked up, I was like, hey, Phyllis, this movie had a Pokemon card in it. Do you still have it in the back? Can I have one if you don't mind? And she walks out, she's like, how many you want?
You should have hit eBay.
Dude, that's amazing. That's really cool.
But yeah, it's, that's where the name is inspired. So I like to show homage to that. So
Yeah, I was gonna say I love that. That's one of my favorite things about your show is that you're paying homage to growing up in the video store and kind of those movies that you rented from there, which we're all about on this show as well.
Oh yeah,
Video
100%.
Dungeon.
Yeah.
You're talking about taking stuff off the shelves at
Yeah.
the rental store. We basically you could do that in the Video Dungeon if you really wanted to.
That's
theory.
exactly what it is. Yeah. But before we get into the severed hands, if you want some more Movie Dumpster content, you can head over to patreon.com/Movie Dumpster. You can get an ad-free audio version of the show for as little as $2 a month. You can also get some great stuff at the $5 and $10 tiers. We also now offer a YouTube channel subscription if you want to do that. That's a $2 and $5 tier as well. You don't get everything from Patreon. Like the mail-in stuff, you don't get T-shirts or the sticker packs on YouTube. But if you want that stuff, you can go to Patreon for that. And if you want to do that, help support your favorite show. That'd be great.
And if you're watching here on YouTube, please like the video and share it with your friends. It really does help get word out on the show. And subscribe if you're not already. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, leave us that 5 stars and a review if you got the time. Get us out to more people, into more eardrums, eyeballs, and everything in between. And let's grow this dumpster community.
Yeah, we tell you every time, those reviews and those likes help more than anything. If you share the show or you tell somebody about the show or you leave that review, it helps us get out to more people. So that's worth more than signing up for the Patreon or buying a t-shirt or anything like that. But if you do want to buy a t-shirt or something like that, you can head over to moviedumpsterpodcast.com. We got shirts, we got hats, we got a whole store there. We also have a calendar of all of the dates that we have coming up that we're going to be places. We were just at Neshaminy Creek on the 25th of January for the 20th anniversary of the Found Footage Festival. We had an absolute blast, and thanks to everybody who came out to say hi to us and hang out for the show. We had a really good time. Our next event is going to be Monster Mania in Cherry Hill in March. So keep an eye out for it. Mark your calendars, and we'll see you there. All right, my bruvs, we're talking about The Hand, and Michael Caine is in this movie.
Oh my God, Michael Caine, welcome to the Movie Dumpster universe.
Finally.
He's been here since literally season 1.
We thought he would be entering the MDU via Jaws the Revenge.
Oh God, thank God that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking to Dusty over on the Flicks and Friends podcast and the Baron's Hideout about maybe Jaws 3, but that's a whole different beast.
Yeah.
We didn't quite go down there. We didn't fly the fucking plane looking for tangerine-sized jewels for Alfred. But yeah, Michael Caine, what an incredible actor. And it's kind of, I feel like I say this a lot on this show, but it's one of those cases again where it's like, how did it take us this long to get to a fucking Michael Caine movie? And believe it or not, apparently the woman from Beetlejuice who designed the house. We also have that in here also joining the MDU.
Oh, is that for sure?
Yes, we'll get to it.
Okay. That one, I totally missed that one.
Oh, we get to see her titties.
Oh, my goodness, that is her.
I designed the whole place. Here's my card.
I decated myself. I knew she looked familiar. I knew she looked familiar.
Not to steal Michael Caine's thunder.
Holy shit. Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but have you guys seen this movie before?
I've seen it. Yeah.
You've seen it?
I have not. Funnily enough, I was talking to Logan and Joe before the recording that when we were talking about doing this movie, I conflated this with the hand not this is the hand
Body parts
with Jeff
Jeff
Fahey.
Fahey.
So the whole movie, I'm waiting for like another body part to be attached to this guy. Spoilers, that doesn't happen. But yeah, first time viewing.
Yeah, it's not like the story with Mark Hamill and the eyeball from Body Bags, or even that Simpsons episode you were talking about.
Oh, when Snake Plissken gets the electric chair and Homer gets his wig and
Yeah.
it turns him like into a bad guy.
Right, it's not like serial killer body part plugged on regular guy who becomes a killer now.
Exactly.
This is another one that my mom used to watch all the time and tell me about. So that's how I kind of came into knowing that it existed. And I loved it as a kid, but like I didn't appreciate it as a kid in terms of like the depth that was there for this, because I was like, holy shit, there's a hand killing people. Like, yeah, I want to see that. It's creepy and it's weird.
This movie's heavy on relationships, so I could see that going over a kid's head.
Oh yeah.
Big time. I just wanted to see the monster, right?
Yeah, I gotta definitely see that.
You want to see Thing.
Yeah.
Decomposing Thing walking around.
Yes.
You know what?
The titular idle hand.
Didn't play one piano.
I was waiting for it.
No.
It's not that kind of movie, though.
But as I grew up in my teens, I kind of revisited this and really came to appreciate it for what it was. And I always double bill this every year in the winter months. And I've talked about it before with Anthony Hopkins in Magic and then Michael Caine in The Hand, and that's a really good double winter feature. Now we just did The Brood, which is also another film that I watch every winter too. So we got the cool winter weather shit going on for here, but
we got January wrapping us like a blanket with these movies.
For
January
sure,
movies.
man. So like it's just fun to be able to talk about these in a real way, and it's just like a tradition kind of. But yeah, I love this movie, and I think it's a really underappreciated flick, especially one of Michael Caine's. I figured let's just get that out of the way because like
one of his famous
this is one of his famous
movies?
paycheck movies.
That's what I saw. Yeah,
So, just like Jaws 4, bought his mama house.
Yeah, but or like Blame It on Rio is one of them, and I don't know if The Island is, but that fucking movie rules.
There's literally, I think, like an entry on his Wikipedia or a section where it's like his paycheck. It lists all of them.
It's got to be a gag, right? Because like no shit, every movie is your fucking paycheck movie, dipshit.
Yeah.
This one paid for a garage, apparently, or the
So
roof
Michael
of a garage.
Caine. But to that point, he's not phoning it in at all.
No.
Like
I wouldn't say that.
he's
no.
fucking great in this movie. I mean, he's great in everything he's in, but like his performance in this is, I mean, we'll get to it, but it's fantastic. And it doesn't feel like he's doing it for a paycheck. Per se.
Maybe he felt that way. You never know. Actors sometimes the way they look at projects compared to the actual audience.
Sure.
I mean, you hear plenty of times you're like, "Oh, I love that movie," and you hear the actor talking about it, like Mario Brothers. They hated working on that, but we love that movie, and it's just like it's a sore spot for Leguizamo and Hoskins. But we're like, it's fucking great.
It's fucking great.
So you never know.
Yeah. Well, and they were kind of like drawn and quartered for them.
Sure, but I'm saying maybe
It's like-
Michael Caine, even though he's doing a great performance, maybe he didn't enjoy it. He's just like, fuck it, it was just another role.
This also comes out in 81, so we're like right in the pocket. Friday the 13th slashers are coming out.
Right.
A lot of slashers are being dropped down the theater. So this is like a more classic horror movie.
More thriller.
Thriller style or psychological, which we're at the beginning of the slasher boom. So that's probably another reason why I feel like this movie gets kind of buried a little bit.
It's not really a concept to get asses in seats.
No,
Not really.
no, not at all. And I don't even know if it did that well. I can't remember. I didn't look into any of that shit.
Well, I definitely noticed like one of the way you bring up his acting in the movie, like you can definitely tell. Like the cool thing is like it's nice when you watch a movie and you can see how an actor is not just doing the same character over and over and over, and you can see like there's a difference between him in this movie and the way he acts in Jaws.
100%.
I mean, and that's
Batman,
I mean, exactly. You know, what I mean, like and that's another thing is like this guy. Oh my God, like what, almost like 200 plus movies underneath his belt.
Yeah.
His IMDb is like a freaking.
It's like a book.
It's a CVS receipt, man.
It's like him and Christopher Lee were going tit for tat, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And that's the thing is because like for me personally, the first movie I can remember him in is Miss Congeniality. So
Right.
I don't need that. That's my earliest movie where I ever saw him be in.
Mine was Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh,
yeah.
yep.
See, I didn't
Yeah.
even see that until I was older.
Really? Man.
That went over us. Like it was not in our household.
It was very much like, oh my God, that's the guy from Muppet Christmas Carol.
I was about
It's Scrooge.
I was about to be like Batman Begins when I already have jokes about Scrooge written down. So yeah, definitely Muppets. Yeah.
When Oliver Stone was making this movie or writing this movie, now this is Oliver Stone's second full-fledged feature, and it's his first big budget movie for a studio.
Decorated director Oliver Stone, by the way.
Fucking legendary director Oliver
yeah.
Stone. Oliver Stone is such a fucking badass, no nonsense kind of dude.
Oh yeah, there's this scenes where like on the special features of the Shout Factory that I have, like, where he's like one of the actors is talking about their first interaction with him, and it wasn't The Hand, it was a movie that he was
Seizure?
It was a movie he was already working on. He didn't end up doing.
Oh, okay.
What's called it? Because and he was going to the bathroom and he walks in and he's like, "They're fucking dicking me around. They're fucking dicking me. They're fucking gutting my movie."
Yeah.
And stuff like he's freaking out. And then he looks at me. He's like, "Are you scared of me?" And he's like, I don't know if I should be." And then, but so that actor, I don't remember his name off the top, but he is the actor. He's the other instructor at the college.
Oh, Brian.
McGill. We'll get to him.
Yeah. But that was his first interaction with them because he's a very passionate director.
Yes.
And some people I can understand where you get known for being an asshole on set, but the stress that a director on getting their vision through and people telling you, you can't do that and you can't do that, you need to change this. I can see how it can rub someone thin.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Not to put the cart before the horse, but this movie, like the screenplay, kind of leans into some of that, like someone fucking with like your work.
100%. Yeah.
And not really understanding why you're so upset about that. Your life's fucking work being
You're
messed
going to get a
with.
paycheck. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, no. You're missing the whole point.
Right, let alone just a movie you're working on. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Oliver Stone's a super passionate guy. I highly recommend Chasing the Light, his, I think it's an autobiography. He had a really hard time getting his movies made. Yeah. And getting his scripts accepted and all that. Like, you know, you think about like some of his bigger ones like Wall Street or, you know, The Doors and shit like that. I mean, he's done a bunch of movies that you've seen, Natural Born Killers, of course. But he had such a problem breaking into big budget films, like in the beginning.
In the industry, yeah.
So, and he was just like, and Platoon, of course. Platoon was like the big jump off one for him, because this is kind of like, he kind of feels about this movie like, oh yeah, it's a horror picture, whatever, blah blah blah. But like Platoon was like his big, like, this is my thing. That's where you get like all your signature Oliver Stone filmmaking and like screenwriting stuff from.
Yeah, well, he stepped away from Hollywood after The Hand because of the experience he had with making this film.
Yeah.
It made him not want to do anything.
Exactly.
Oh God, that reminds me of like Carpenter. I mean, he literally didn't, but after The Thing, he got all that blowback. And then it was just like, oh, everyone hates this movie, no one likes The Thing, and then it's just like he got discouraged. Obviously, then he went on to make many more films, but you read about that.
Yeah.
And then people, which, you know, I think is kind of funny. People think that Carpenter's being a bit of an asshole, but like, all right, how do you feel about The Thing having a huge resurgence in the last 20 years? And it's like, yeah, it didn't make me any fucking money. My career wasn't helped. Like, I mean, I'm paraphrasing the man, but it's just, not to go off on that side, it's just kind of funny to me.
So yeah, he's just like a legendary filmmaker, and if you want to know more about him, watch more of his movies. If you don't know who the fuck he is, highly recommend deep diving into his directorial efforts and checking out that book if you want. But coming back to Michael Caine, Michael Caine was not Oliver Stone's first choice for this movie.
Yeah, I saw that.
He approached James Brolin, who is Josh Brolin's dad, who was a big actor. He's in like the Dunwich Horror and all that, the original Dunwich Horror.
Yep.
And you know, he was like, this script sucks. Like, I don't want to make this fucking movie, and it's just shit. And then like later regretted it that he didn't get to work with him. And that's happened a few times too, I think. Where people would turn down stuff, and then these people become legendary directors. They're like, oh, I wish I could have worked with him.
I mean,
you know?
Look at Dr. Moreau. We talked about that.
yeah.
Val Kilmer only did that because he thought, well, I'm going to work with fucking Landau.
Yeah. But yeah, John Voight was approached to play Jonathan, and Christopher Walken was, and also Dustin Hoffman, and they all turned it down before Caine picked it up. So I thought that was interesting because I always like to hear that stuff, because like I always try to picture the movie with those people. I think Christopher Walken would have fucking nailed it too.
Yeah,
and Dustin Hoffman, especially for the time. So what? Like this is around.
Rain
this
Man?
Is like, this is post Straw Dogs.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't really a big presence too.
No.
Though. That's another thing, because Michael Caine's a big freaking dude.
He's a big guy. He's got a lot of passion behind him. Yeah.
And like, so when those like those scenes where he's like strangling and stuff like that, like I couldn't see, you know, Dustin Hoffman.
Dennis Hoffman. No, you're good.
Dustin Hoffman doing that same type of intensity and like, you know, like threatening of a figure.
No, or even like chopping the wood.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, he was in good shape, because go back and watch the Graduate. That is ridiculous in shape.
Yeah.
But that presence that this character portrays, I couldn't see him doing.
Yeah.
I thinking of Walken. I always go back to The Dead Zone. I bring that up occasionally, but like he could have pulled it off. It would be a very different portrayal, but he has that kind of very serious kind of violence to him in that film. I think he would have brought to this, but Michael Caine kills it.
Oh yeah, he hands down. Like it's just, I don't know, like he's got this like the big. I'll talk more about it when we get to that scene where they're in the car and him just like him just like drilling her, and that just like, you know, that deadpan look, like, you know, just like what were you gonna do? You know what I mean?
That fucking anxiety that I have for that scene all these years later, still rewatching it on the rewatch. I was like, fuck, man.
The ratcheting up.
Yeah. We got music by James Horner, fellas.
This guy's done a ton of stuff under John Williams, like worked under John Williams.
Nice.
I was reading.
Nice.
Well, James Horner got his beginnings working with Roger Corman.
Oh, really?
So he did Up from the Depths, and he did Humanoids from the Deep.
Oh, that's a good movie.
And he's just done so many excellent scores, you know, going forward. And this one in particular, for The Hand, it's like equal parts whimsical as it is like completely fucking haunting. Like it is a great score. He's probably most famously known for like Aliens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or he's done a bunch of shit. Bicentennial Man. What else? Willow, Titanic.
Oh God, yeah.
All the original Star Trek movies.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say those are all bangers.
Yeah, I think he does Deadly Blessing, Krull, and Wolfen all in the same year that he does The Hand.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
So it's like 4 fucking compositions in 1 year. So it's nuts. He really just like hammered them out, but they're good. They're not.
Well, that's the thing is like sometimes when you see someone who actually is truly talented with like when it comes to like even like music and stuff like that, like it almost comes like it's almost like they dream and it just comes out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And like a true like real artist, like pen to paper, it just flows, and they have like almost like a jar just full of it. You know what I mean? I don't know,
absolutely,
it's crazy,
man.
That's like don't crucify me, but what's Charlie's brother that does all the music? Is that Richard Band?
Yeah.
His music's great, but sometimes it's like he's going back to the well, like Danny Elfman, a little too often. I agree with what you're saying, Logan, but sometimes you're like, all right, maybe mix that up a little here, pal.
It's also like budgets too.
No,
you know
I
what mean?
understand that too.
But James has like so many iconic scores too.
I was going down the list earlier. I didn't write them down, but yeah, you're right.
But like, let's just take Aliens for example. Like, how many fucking trailers have you seen where they reuse the Aliens music?
Oh, well, just that humming sound effect, even that's part of the
track.
Yeah,
but the you know, like when they're like the aliens are coming after him or whatever. There's like an action scene. But yeah, he's done like Commando. He's done like so many fucking movies. I keep like thinking of him as I'm talking. But yeah, moving right along. Something that I thought was weird that I saw for the special effects for this movie were that Tom Berman and Stan Winston were consultants on the special effects for this. They didn't work on them per se, but they were consultants on it. Most of the effects are done by Carlo Rambaldi, who did a ton of stuff, everything from like King Kong 76 to like Profanto Rosso. He worked with because they're all this is like an Italian special effects team for this. Okay. So he's done a ton of stuff.
I think I even did read a piece of trivia now that you mentioned King Kong that he had to kind of almost do the opposite thing with this movie, whereas like King Kong he had this massive army, he had to figure out how to do the robotics, and now he had to basically do the reverse, this tiny hand and get all this shit for the radio to work to make it move. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, because he's the animatronics guy. So I think he did the puppet in Deep Red or Profondo Rosso.
Okay, maybe
No, isn't that the same guy that did E.T.?
Yeah, he worked on E.T. as well. Yeah,
that's awesome.
There's also Anthony Tomasetti and Carlo DeMarchis that worked on this as well. Tomasetti did work on The Kindred.
Oh, wow.
And DeMarchis did work on The Great Alligator and Monster Dog, too. So I thought that was cool. So a lot of
industry veterans.
Yeah, but a lot of Italian, of course, infamous Italian films. So I thought that was really neat. And they're fucking great. Like, the effects in this movie are great. And super well executed.
It could have very easily looked very, very cheesy with just being a hand. You know, how do you do that? Poke it through a cloth. And there's a couple scenes like that, but for the most part, it looks pretty convincing.
I mean, it's pretty scary, too, the way that they compose these shots.
Oh, yeah, and that's the crazy thing, because I don't know if you're about to get into it, but like we see a lot more hand than Oliver Stone even wanted to see in the first place.
This is also true, and like, you know, I think it works, though.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. I like the fact that like not taking those hand scenes out. Like well, then what would you have done for us to see that visually happen?
Yes. You have. We're gonna break it down, but I think that was one of your complaints that we started with.
Oh, yeah. I'll save that till we get towards the end.
Save
of the
that till
movie,
the end, but like I do want to discuss that more in depth and how it's kind of represented, which we'll do. We'll break it down. So the last thing, as far as trivia is, unless you guys have anything, I mean, there's a few things we'll talk about as we go, but like the last thing is that this movie was based on the book The Lizard's Tale by Mark Brandel. There it is. And also, again, I mentioned in the beginning, but this was gifted to us by Logan, so that was really cool of him to bring this with him.
Oh, no problem.
Stay tuned for a motherfucking book to the movie, baby. CB, we're looking at you. So we're going to talk a little bit about the book. We're not going to go deep spoilery with the book, but we are going to talk about some differences because Logan had read some stuff about it. So
get the shot glasses ready, folks. He's wearing the Salem Slot shirt to get prepared.
Is that like an in joke? From the Salem Slot episode?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I was like, I want to wear this shirt on the show because I like it.
Go check out both of our Salem Slot reviews on the 79 and on the 2024. We cover both.
Sean's going to tell you all about the book.
And still leave a lot out, believe it or not.
You didn't talk about any erections, so, there's still more to explore.
I might have come to our shirt, so
also true.
Might happen today.
We usually have the guests do a very brief plot crunch of this movie. Would you like to do that for us?
Sure, yeah. So The Hand is about a thriving artist that is in the middle of some marital dispute with his wife of where the relationship's going. And the worst thing in his life could happen and his hand gets taken away in a horrific accident. And then having the best thing in your life taken away, you slowly dip into madness because you don't really know what to do as life happens after that. So, and that, hilarity ensues. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it.
And also his hand might be alive or might not be. We'll talk about it.
You make the call.
Yeah. We'll go into it. The general you. I don't know if you're talking to me, Sean, or you, the audience.
Everybody.
Everybody, yeah. The dumpster dwellers, yeah.
So we open on this beautiful country scene. We're in Vermont. Vermont is gorgeous if you guys have ever been there. And I want this fucking estate that they have because he has this wonderful greenhouse studio
Oh, yeah.
where he's drawing his comics and
it's so
stuff.
cool.
It's so awesome.
I also like the way they do the credits. It's kind of like this
The hand-drawn?
hand-drawn, kind of
Yeah.
scratchy look, just to kind of get you right in the mood that this guy's drawing comics.
Yeah.
The fucking sound design in this too, by the way, is fantastic, and I think really adds to the terror of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just beautiful. Though you see, I like any kind of movie that opens up on a forest or something like that. That's one reason why I really like the movie Grizzly because it opens up and you just see woodland areas from those helicopter shots. And I mean, it's just, I don't know. Anytime when a movie opens up like that, I really do think I'm not saying it's artistic, but it's very beautiful to look at and things are pretty.
It's beautiful. It's cozy. You want to be there.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And that's the whole thing. I would love an art studio in a fucking greenhouse where I'm just where I have a coffee machine and a wood burning stove, and I'm just drawing all day.
Yeah, it's a nice, perfect 75 degrees outside.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I got my hydroponics set up, man. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah. Fucking Sean spraying his little beauties.
Dabs all day, baby.
Yeah. So we get introduced to Michael Caine, and he's Jonathan Lansdale, and he's drawing panels for his comic book, Mandros.
Right, which is basically a Conan the Barbarian
ripoff
thing.
Yeah. And you know a little bit about some of this stuff, especially the panels that they show.
Yeah, so the panels were from Barry Windsor Smith, one of the original creators that drew a famous run of Conan the Barbarian.
Now that was the 80s. Was that the 80s run of Conan, or
no?
Was
this
it?
would probably been
70s
that'd
then.
probably been 70s.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought that was so cool that they got a Marvel artist to come in and actually do the panels and shit.
And this is one thing, this was a switch they did make from the book. I liked this little switch, the fact that because originally it was kind of more the Mandro was Miguel and he was more of a political, kind of political style, comic strip that would be in the paper and something like that. While as Mandro is more of a, not like a Conan Barbarian kind of character, which kind of does, when you think about it, this comic strip that's going to be on papers and it's kind of to have this adventure comic strip or something like that, still going into the 80s.
Yeah.
It's a little interesting. The Miguel character makes more sense for it to be still going into the 80s because they make later in the movie, they make the Pogo reference and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
But I really because this movie, I don't want to say a lot, but there's some changes they make, and some of the changes that they make really does make better sense for the movie. But I do like that little, I do like this kind of little change because it just makes more sense to have this talented artist draw these beautiful pieces of artwork. And clearly takes a lot of time and effort. And, to learn to do that with the other hand is going to be extremely severe.
Big time, yeah.
And unless you literally know nothing about this movie going in, you're already sitting there oh, great, he's an artist. Well, he's fucked.
yeah, right.
There's no way the other hand's getting chopped off.
This movie hurts my soul because of that part of it.
Yeah, that's I could lose a lot of limbs, but if I lose my right hand or my left, the left hand, I guess I could eventually figure it out with graphic design and video editing, but that'd be rough trying to draw shit.
Trying to get nuances right with drawing and stuff like that.
I gotta respect people that do that, or people that are born without those appendages and pull it off. It's it's really impressive.
It's crazy. After watching this, I was sitting with Beck. I was like, would you rather lose a hand or a foot?
Oh my God.
You pick. And she's like, well, she's like, I'll lose a hand. I'm like, you would lose a hand over, I'll take it. I'll lose my foot. No. I want both of my hands.
I want a peg leg.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll rock a fucking peg leg. So then we get introduced to Lizzie, who is his daughter, and Anne, who is his wife. And
the only other thing I saw she was really famously in was Mommy Dear. She played the daughter.
No wire hangers, huh?
Yeah. She's a pretty good actor, though, actually.
Yeah. Another relationship-based movie.
This is the first kind of point of contention we get between Anne and Jonathan, that their relationship isn't exactly ideal. Now, we talked briefly before the show, and you said that it's gone in depth more in the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
But the way that it's painted here is basically like John doesn't like listen to Anne a lot, doesn't spend a lot of time with her, is very focused on his work. So what she wants to do is she's like, by the way, we're spending the winter in New York, and we got this great apartment, and they told us about this apartment, and I want to move in. It's only $300 and blah 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 a month. And he's like,
there must be something wrong with it then.
and he's like, there's something wrong with it. And she's like, you always respond like that, blah 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 blah. She's like,
Well, who saw it? Who saw it? Well, so and so saw it. You believe what she says?
yeah, right, right.
But that does paint the picture instantly that it's just like, they're arguing over this stupid shit. She has this plan. She makes a point to say, we've talked about this before.
Yeah, but it's almost like she talks about
Like
it in a way where either he didn't listen or like they didn't really necessarily agree on it, because she assumes a lot of things
Sure.
as we come to find out. But she's basically like doing it because she wants to go to New York. There's things she wants to do there. There's like this yoga studio she wants to go to.
The Origin Institute.
The Origin Institute, and also like it's like yoga, but it's also like humane studies.
Yeah,
I guess.
Basically, it's her. She, from their marriage, she's having a hard time finding her self-worth.
Right.
And this is what she's trying to do in that period of her life, because there is an age difference between them.
Yeah.
This is what that's why she wants to go there. She wants to do something for herself, because for most of their marriage, it's all been about his work and him and her serving him. But she wants to be a little and have some independency in their marriage and be her own self.
Which I think is funny, because later she's like, I want to do my own thing. But then she's like, how the fuck are we going to pay all the bills if you don't have a thing, of a job?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, little double standard there, but okay.
A little bit.
Well,
But
they bring it up either. Whether you said they're
Michael Caine's like, you want to move out to fucking New York City and you want me to pay the bill.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's what she's basically saying, to go have an affair. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it turns into, I don't
Yeah.
think initially that's the case, but it definitely goes that route. Yeah. His wife, by the way, Anne, is played by Andrea Marcovici, and she's Nicole in the stuff. She's like Moe's girlfriend who helps him like solve the case.
Yeah, Moriarty's squeeze.
Yeah, and she's like she's in a lot of the movie, but the famous scene when Chocolate Chip Charlie starts melting,
Morphing.
and she's like, ah!
And he's like throwing up.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool to see her in this. And we'll get more into her character. I don't know how I feel about her or her husband, honestly, but
Sure.
it's a sticky situation. No stuff included. Right, Kumdar?
So I just want to mention the lizard's tail that Lizzie finds, because it's not only is it the name of the book that this is based on, but like it sets the precedence for like things like limbs being able to move on their own. And she's like, "Look, Dad, it's alive. It's alive." And he's like, "No, it's not alive. It's just a reflex." And she's like, "No, it's alive. It totally is this lizard tail."
That her cat named Amanda.
Amanda the cat.
What a weird name. Like the cat grabs it and runs off, and they're just like, you damn cat.
This is some super cat. I don't know about you. Jesus Christ.
Oh, later?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got adamantium fucking armor.
We're gonna talk about that.
Goddamn skeleton.
Now we really get into the crux of this moving discussion, because Anne wants to move to New York City and leave him in Vermont and take his daughter away from him.
He was like, yeah, that's what you wanted, though. You said you didn't want to leave Vermont, so
And
I
he's
just thought
like-
I could do it without
And
you.
he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? How does that make any sense? No, he's like, so they're driving.
Yeah.
And this is where it really gets tense. And like, Anne says to him that he's insinuated that he doesn't want to go, and just because he doesn't want to go to New York, she's like, well, I'm gonna fucking go anyway and take the kid whether you like it or not.
Because I think the whole thing is he did agree to go, but then now that it's like the date's like actually coming up and it's actually going to happen, he's got cold fucking feet. Yeah. So he's reneging on it and he's being a dickhead about it and he's doing what you're saying. And he's like, well, it's cold in New York. I could get sick.
Yeah, but like, that's not how it plays out.
No, you're right.
Because she's like, well, I assumed you didn't want to go.
Yeah.
It goes there, but I think initially he's just reneging and she gets pissed.
And he's like, you wanted to be alone. You didn't want to go without me the whole time.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, well, I thought we understood each other. And
where am I going to work?
Yeah. What am I going to do?
Right.
And it's like,
she's like, well, we're not going to be separated, but we need a break. That's what sets them off.
Yeah. And he's like, who the fuck made this decision? What are you talking about? She's like, well, I think we need to reevaluate our marriage. And it's like, well, you didn't even have the initial discussion about this. Like, this wasn't.
I think they did. It was off camera.
No, I don't
this
think-
motherfucker's been in his greenhouse for 4 years, and she's been sitting inside like, hi, I live here too, by the way.
Yeah, but she's also made up her mind without even talking to him.
I guess.
Which, like, fine. If that's your thing, fine. But be like, hey, this is the deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're right. Maybe they did have multiple conversations, but it's not. There's no light shed on that.
No, you're right.
Is it also to the point where like he's so much into himself, he hasn't seen the writing on the walls?
I think that's what it is.
Clearly there.
I mean, sure.
Because he only really interacts like nicely with his daughter. Like his wife, I think it's later in the film, but she's like, I don't know if you're even in love with me anymore.
Well, yeah, but like he's not necessarily like mean to her or anything.
No, he's dismissive.
Yeah.
It's very dismissive.
Depending on what the conversation is.
I mean, it definitely is in this book, because this is when he starts, like you said, he's flipping out, and then they have this woman behind him honking at her, so that's like pissing them off. Yeah. Oh yeah, you fucking cow.
You fucking cow. Yeah, this old lady's like up their ass on the road, and there's like a truck with like hay on it in front of them, and she's like beeping at them to like go around. So Anne gets pissed, and she's like, "Oh yeah, well we're fucking going to New York anyway."
Oh yeah.
And she like speeds up and to go around the truck. Man, the scene just keeps ratcheting up. They're fighting. They're screaming. He's screaming. He's losing his temper. She's getting pissed off. The fucking bitch behind them is beeping and riding their ass. He's yelling out the fucking window, waving.
Right, he's like, pass.
He's like, go around, you cow. So they're driving. Anne goes up around the truck. Truck's on the right. Another car is coming on the road. So the truck slams on its brakes, and then Anne keeps going and slams on her brakes, and his fucking hand gets caught between the car and the back of the truck and just severs. And blood fucking sprays everywhere.
And the hand shoots off like a goddamn missile.
It's like,
it's a fucking Nerf gun.
Oh my god! Into this like tall grass, you're never finding it again.
Oh yeah, dude, it's in the field.
This scene is amazing, by the way. I love this scene so much. Like it reminds me where she's walking, like when she's looking for the hand and stuff.
Oh
like
my
that.
god!
She's not even really trying.
It makes me think of that like the Secruder film of like Jacqueline Kennedy or whatever, covered in blood, just like in the limousine.
Yeah.
Which funny, then he would direct JFK later.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I made that reference, but like when I see this, I'm like, it's just, I don't know, it's very well shot. I like how there's no music, it's just dead.
It's also really haunting when he does get his hand blown off and he's screaming in pain, like, my hand!
He's the car pulls over and there's just a wide shot of him just getting out of the car and they're like holding and he's just screaming and the fucking blood is shooting in Anne's face.
It's all in the car.
Oh man, it's all over the place.
And then when she gets out, it's all over the truck on the side.
On a fence that it sprays on.
I gotta ask you guys though, when he's at the hospital, how much time is fucking passed?
I thought about
this
that.
thing is healed.
I thought about
this
that.
This nub is healed, man.
That's movie magic right there.
They're like, just keep the bandages off for a few. Has it been a month? Has it been a day?
Oh, it's been, I'll say at least 3 months.
It's a passage of time, clearly. Yeah. And spoilers, they don't find the hand to sew it back on.
3 months, that hand should be a fucking pile of bones. They make this seem like it's a day or two later. This thing's still like intact besides some worms growing on it.
Well, we're going to talk about it. Yeah. But so he's at the hospital and he's going through physical therapy. Clearly the hand, his stump is all healed up and he's still going through physical therapy and he's like doing these exercises where he twists his wrists and stuff and he's like, I could still feel it. I could still feel my fingers.
Oh, the phantom limbs.
Phantom limb syndrome.
Feels like it's still there.
Yeah. I will say that nub though. On my head, I'm like, is that a prosthetic guy?
No, that's
so realistically, it looks great.
That is a dude without a hand.
I thought so.
Oh,
underneath his jacket,
it
has to be.
It's like David Bowie. It's like David Bowie doing the fucking the glass ball juggling.
Huh. It's beautiful. I mean, like just like that. Like I'm like, that's not a fake stump. The skin looks perfect and it looks very well healed. Like. And the way it twists, I'm like, that's a real risk.
Yeah. So he makes an appointment to get a prosthetic and stuff. Now, this is like one of the really painful scenes for me because like they go back home and like after all that shit of being like we're gonna leave you and we shouldn't be together and all this stuff, she decides to stay because she feels sorry for him because he got his hand cut off, which is essentially not her fault, but not his fault.
It's a freak accident. He said that to his daughter.
It's a freak accident. Yeah. He doesn't necessarily blame his wife, but he kind of does.
In the back of his head.
In the back of his head, yeah.
Stewing on it.
He's stewing on it.
It's one of those moments like, well, if you wanted to try to pass him, this wouldn't have happened.
And if I wasn't waving my fucking hand out the window, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, if we weren't arguing about if we're going to separate or not.
In the car, drive, you know what I mean?
If the dog wasn't there, I wouldn't have spilt my coffee. It's the dog's fault because I spilt my coffee.
Exactly, right. But I do like how the daughter, like, kind of, she's like, okay, she understands it, and it's that like touching moment between father and daughter, and even Anne's like, I like that you did that, but then they instantly start getting into it again.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily getting into it, but
you're right.
This is where
he cries here.
She kind of like grabs his hand, and
he
he's like,
pulls
oh, and he's
away.
like, oh, don't touch me, and blah, blah. And it's like, ooh, it's fucking palpable, man. And like he breaks
like, it's
down.
ugly.
Yeah, it's ugly. He breaks down. He's crying about it.
Yeah, you're right. This is one of the more actual touching moments between the two in the film.
Yeah, but it's just like super sad.
I will say, and this is another thing, is like to see also, because there's a later in the movie we talk about like, showing people's flaws and stuff like that when we get, I'm not talking too much into that. But like, this was a big thing to see a man be that upset about his personal appearances and stuff like that. That's not something that was normalized in that, and definitely in the 80s. And Michael Caine's error for that, his age limit, that was not normalized for you to cry or be upset about something that you have physically.
Yeah, because I think you referenced when they're in New York. Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, absolutely. I guess we could talk a little bit about that since you're on the topic. But like, he refuses going to see like a psychologist.
Yeah.
In the same way that you just described, him worrying about his appearance. He doesn't want anybody to think he's crazy. He's like, I'm not paying somebody to tell me that I'm crazy or whatever.
In the book, he actually does see a psychologist.
Oh, he
really?
does,
yeah, and
it was taboo, is what I'm saying.
This is actually kind of funny. In the book, he lets his guard down. He's refusing to do it, and he's like, he finally agrees with his wife. He's okay, fine. I'll sit down with her and I'll talk to her. And they sit down for an hour, and he just unloads. He just like all this weight that's been bearing on his shoulder. He finally lets it go, and he's like, okay, maybe she might be right about something about this. Maybe this might actually help me. The psychologist gets up, talks to his wife, and walks out. And she's like, when's our next appointment? She's like, oh, she won't be seeing you again. You triggered her too much. And you brought back so many past feelings that she's worked so hard to put away. Now she needs to go in therapy again.
Oh, my God.
Talk about the fucking double-edged sword on that one.
Yeah.
That'd be enough to deter anybody to never talk about their feelings ever again.
No.
You fucked up the psychologist.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So he gets up because he can't sleep that night, and he goes back into his studio. And like this whole scene too of him trying to draw with his other hand and trying to paint with it, and I'm just like,
yeah.
Like, what would you do if you didn't have your hand? Like we're artists, we're all artists here. What if you couldn't fucking draw anymore? What if you what if you lost your sight and I couldn't watch movies or like direct or do cinematography like
music you lose your hearing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the thing that's something that like that's the thing is like that is him. He is an artist, and that is himself.
It's his identity.
There you go. Yeah.
So he's literally lost it.
Who am I now?
And he has to learn how to be himself all over again. And the guy is like fucking 50.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's another thing is that's the big difference. So that's the thing that we get this, that like his wife really doesn't fully understand because they talk about his art a little bit later. She doesn't understand because she's not the same age graphic. She's only lived not even half her life. No. He's already halfway out the door.
Yeah.
He's not probably going to live to 100. You know what I mean? No. I'm saying like, so like the thing that like to refine myself this later in life, that really isn't going to happen.
That will fuck you up
and
drive you
crazy.
Yeah. Like, what happens?
I mean, I think if he kept practicing, he could have eventually figured it out. But it is that case of just, it is such a drastic difference from what he was capable of that it's self-defeating, you know?
But we're talking about you go from drawing one day to not being able to draw to getting your fucking comic strip taken away from you, which we're going to talk about.
There's a lot of factors. I'm not trying to undercut that at all. I'm just saying there's people, they persevere, but this guy is definitely in the part of, he hasn't gone over that hill yet. Like, it's still all processing.
He's also the type of guy to bury his feelings, not talk about it. He's got this machismo about him where he's too far gone.
Yeah,
he's too far gone.
Yeah.
By this point,
you got to think he has, like you said, if he is 50, he's got 50, almost 50 something years of practice in one hand. To relearn,
you're
gonna
die.
Very hard.
And also,
I'm not trying to discount that.
When we're older too, our ability to learn as we get older, it like shuts down after 25.
Yeah.
So like you're not that pupil age anymore, where things come much more naturally.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why he does what he does with the mechanical hand. But before we get to that, he's still trying to draw, and he hears this like cat meow, and
Amanda comes in,
and this is what Logan was alluding to earlier. This fucking cat screams and like jumps at him like a bullet and goes through this this window. Uninjured.
I got cats, and I know you got cats. My cat would never do that. My cat would never.
My cat would do that, but not through the fucking window.
Well,
They pounce at me.
Well, once we learn, depending on how you look at the movie later, I'm gonna say that he took this fucking cat and threw this fucking cat out the window.
I mean, he does later have a dream where he's thinking back on it, I guess, or whatever, and he sees a hand in the corner.
And then that's why it's so weird and jarring, because you're like, well, what the fuck happened?
Right.
And we're not privy to what's happening exactly.
Right. And when that is shown, it's while he's dreaming, so you don't know if he actually is remembering it or if he just dreamt it.
Because he wakes up in like a cold sweat.
Exactly. But then, that is a kind of a crazy scene. The cat runs off into the distance, and I don't think it comes back the rest of the movie. Maybe it did die, but I'm like, damn, super cat here. Where's the kryptonite?
So he goes back to the site where he got his hand cut off at the truck. So he's walking down the road and kicking some rocks, and he's just like reliving the fucking accident. He wants to find his hand and kind of put it to rest, because it's like this weird thing where like you lost your limb, but it's nowhere. Yeah. Right? Like, where did it go? Where the fuck is this thing?
I would fuck with you, man.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. And he's kind of like trying to be like, at least I find my hand. He can like mourn it and like bury it or get rid of it or however he wants to handle that.
Yeah.
I would put it in a jar and put it on my shelf.
I don't know what I would do. I think I'd just be happy that a fucking beaver's not gnawing on it.
Beaver?
I don't know. He does find the signet ring. I was like, damn, you're close. Just fucking keep looking.
So he's looking through the weeds and stuff, and he finds his ring that was on the hand that was severed. And you're like, oh shit, did the ring like fly off? Like, how did it come off the hand? Was the finger bitten off and like the ring is just there?
That's true.
And there's this really cool like POV of the hand TM.
Well, I guess.
Tracking him through the grass and like looking at him, and you get like this cicada sound and shit like that. It's really cool.
And I like how it's animalistic.
Yeah, and it's got this fucking like breathing sound, like somebody's breathing through like a fucking blanket or something. Like It's fucking creepy, man.
I was fucking confused as hell. I was like, what the fuck is this POV? Is this a snake? What is happening right? Because again, I don't know his fucking hand's alive.
Yeah, but the movie's called The Hand.
Again, I thought it was the Jeff Fahey one where his hand gets reattached. I said that earlier.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, as I'm watching, I was like, I guess it must be the hand, because they keep cutting back to this hand covered in worms.
It's Amanda the cat.
And then I was thinking that. No, seriously, I thought it was the fucking cat. And they don't ever show it. You're supposed to think it's the hand, obviously. Yeah. But I'm like, is it a snake? What's happening? It's like getting up on his ass. I thought he was going to get bit. Like a jump scare.
Bit me in the butt.
But no, I guess it is the hand. You're right, because starts walking around shortly after.
Well, he has these... The way this movie's edited is fucking awesome, because like he has thoughts.
Yep.
And as it kind of is representative of like him thinking while he's walking around, and he's imagining, this is the way I took it, he's picturing the hand in his head where it would be if it was still there in the fucking field, and it's like covered in bugs, it's like half eaten, it's all gross. And it's not necessarily where it is or what it is, but what he thinks is probably where it is, and that's why he's there looking for it.
I could totally see that.
Did that make sense?
You're probably right.
Yeah. I did not take it that way, but I can see that now that you explained it.
Yeah.
The movie wants you to, it fucks with you intentionally.
But by the end of the movie, all of that stuff, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
The way that it's interpreted that way. Especially if you've seen this movie a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny. Like, I get it. I'm not trying to just be facetious here. I just was like a little confused. I was like, all right, I like this shot, but what are we trying to do here?
It's the hand.
It's the fucking Honey, I Shrunk the Kids are down there. Like, what's going on?
So he meets up with his agent, Karen, who is the agent for his Mandro comic. And they're at like a restaurant, and she's like eating her lobster or whatever. And he's got no fucking hand. And he's basically there talking to her, and they're discussing what the next steps are for the Mandro comic. And like, you know, hey, well, if you can't draw anymore, we're going to bring somebody in to draw it for you. You know, you can write the stories and the storyline and stuff, and we'll just have an artist come and you can pick and choose and we'll figure it out, you know? Makes sense. That seems like the way to do the next steps.
No, yeah, that definitely makes sense. I will say, though, for that concept, like, but to think about that, I mean, my God. Like, I'm not, like, I do doodles. These are doodles. But, like, to think that, like, to have something that you birthed and to have someone to take it over when you've done everything. Because typically that's when, usually it's not as popular in comics for someone to write and draw it. Yeah. It is more of an anomaly.
It's like it does happen. Thing more so.
Yeah, it does happen, but it doesn't happen as often as someone writes the story and someone draws it for you. But for something literally to be your baby and for you to be like, okay, I'm going to tell you what to do. Don't fuck it up. Right? Yeah. I mean, that's hard.
But you've been honing this character and living with this character
for a decade.
For a decade. and just to kind of hand it over, no pun intended, is a whole other thing to grapple with.
Oh yeah.
So he's dealing
They don't
with
even have like a new contract. They're just like, this is happening.
Yeah.
You just have to live with it.
he's dealing with his hand being severed. He's dealing with his wife. He's got marital problems. He can't draw anymore. He's losing control of his creation. Like, it's so many different things that are about to spiral this motherfucker out of control.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, this is
100%.
when he starts twitching, and this I think is
Yeah.
the first time you actually visually on screen see the hand moving around.
Well, you see the claw, the lobster.
The
claw.
lobster.
Yeah.
That too. That was weird as fuck. That
well,
threw me off.
he starts having hallucinations. That didn't
Yeah,
actually happen. It's in
yeah,
his
yeah.
head.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's another thing is like with him and Karen's character in the book, she was technically his best friend
Oh.
because he had been working for her for years.
Yeah.
And okay, within marital, like when you have problems and stuff like that, you always want someone to talk to and stuff like that. And then, and if it's something about your significant other, you can't just go to your significant other like, this is why I don't like this, but you did, you know what I mean? You can't do stuff like that.
He
But you
confides in her,
Yes. And that she knows, that's why she brings up like, where she's like,
She's like, oh, I
well,
don't
you
like-
never liked that ring. You don't sit there and act like you like that ring. You've never liked it.
The
Because
LS, yeah.
she listens to him.
Or the
Yeah.
JS.
Well, they that's
Whatever.
where they drop that nugget where she's
Yeah.
like, she's no good for you, and the only reason that you haven't gone back to work yet is because Anne is going to stop feeling sorry for you, and then she's going to fucking leave you.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I will say the one turning point in the book makes to this. Then they go back to her hotel room.
He fucks Karen.
She tries to comfort him, and she's like described as more of a curvy. She's pretty hot in the book.
Okay.
I will say
Sure.
the way they described her in the book, she's pretty hot.
Right.
But he and so she's not as this elderly woman that is pictured in the movie.
Right.
But she comes on to him, and he's like, no, Karen, I like you too much and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to throw that away, and I want to save my marriage and stuff like that. But then she just puts up a wall and like, okay, I'm done with you now. Because she likes to nurture people. She likes people to be that want her, that need her, and she's not getting that from him. So she's just like, okay, all right, well, I'm going to shut down and be this different person, and you can no longer confine in me.
Sure.
She's trying to take advantage of
That's
him,
so
basically.
fucked up, though.
Yeah. Oh no. Like I said, there's some stuff like to be with the viewers, I stopped reading the book because there was so much shit going on in the book. I'm like, I can't
is
do
too much.
this anymore. It's stressing me out, and I gotta read it. So it's not like watching it; you gotta read it.
Right.
Well, what you could do is instead of spending $1,000 on a therapist so they could tell you have a penis problem, and then at $10,000 they say you're good. Instead, spend $10,000 on a robotic fucking arm. That's you use tension to control the clenching of the fist.
This is also where when he's talking to Karen, this is kind of like the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah.
Oh, before we get to the hand, you're right.
And then we see the hand animate.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it kind
yeah.
of wakes up and crawls off.
Yeah.
And like this is the breaking point, I think, for his psyche. And this
Well,
kind of signifies
That's
that.
why he then goes and gets this what do they call it? The prosthetic?
Yeah, the prosthetic.
I keep calling it a mechanical hand because I keep picturing those old mechanical toy hands.
Well, the one they used to at the KB Toys all the time, and that's like in Tommy Boy where
Yeah.
he flicks them off.
Yeah.
Years and years ago, I was like almost 20 years ago. Me and Joe, we did a web series of our old web series under Dot Swoof, where our friend Rob, he was Captain Caine, and he had a mechanical hand like that.
Yeah,
I
the
always think
grabber,
of it.
yeah.
Yeah, those are great.
Before we get to that, though, I just want to note that like this is where he starts becoming unraveled because he goes to the Origin Institute and he sees the guy Bill putting the moves on his wife when they're doing yoga.
Ooh.
And as John's watching it, like you see the hand, there's other scenes of the hand crawling and becoming more aware. And then back at the apartment, that insignia ring that he finds is gone from the drawer. He's like, did Lizzie take my ring?
Yeah.
It's fucking gone. So it's like, did he find the ring at all? This is the first time it goes black and white when he has the dream. And we go back and we see the cat fall and jump out the window, but then we see like a hand scurry out the fucking door.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we see the hand like go into his drawer and take the insignia ring out of the fucking box. And then right after that, it's him getting the prosthetic arm.
Okay, yeah.
He gets fitted for this fucking prosthetic. He's like Ash in Army of Darkness. He grabs the chalice and crushes it. And he's like, oh, groovy.
Did you see who the doctor was?
He looked familiar.
John Stinson. Scared to death.
Yes.
The only reason I knew that because he looks just like my father.
Yes. Oh my God. Does he really?
Yeah, he looks just like him. Yeah.
That's so funny. We did an episode on Scared
Yeah,
to
I
Death.
know, yeah.
Did we?
Yeah. Scared to Death and Sinjanor.
Double
yeah,
feature,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I can't remember every movie.
Yeah.
If you said Sinjanor, I'd be like, yeah, great.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the one I didn't like, Scared to Death. Oh, yeah.
So he ends up like having this prosthetic that he can like when he moves his arm, it squishes the finger so he can like grab shit, right? But it's like so fucking strong. He's like, yeah, go ahead, put your hands together. And he's like squeezing it and he's like crunching his hand. And he's like, ah, shit. He ends up putting like a glove on it, like fucking Luke Skywalker, which is a cool way to do it because now he could just wear a glove and not have to worry about it.
And he says and it makes it more like you want to change that every like it's a glove that you need to repurpose and rechange it and stuff like that. Like they make it make sense.
Yeah, to fit your wardrobe.
Yeah. But then they literally never mention the pressure thing, or they show him without this fucking sleeve on. It's just like, well, it's just his arm. Never mentioning how he has to push his arm forward ever again. Not mentioning the pressure ever again.
Yeah.
Doesn't even try to fucking draw with it once, even though he constantly asks the doctor,
yes,
what
if
I have to draw with this? No, he doesn't, because every time he draws, it's while he's blacked out. No. And he doesn't remember it.
No, he sits and he's trying to draw with the hand.
I guess I don't remember
And he's trying to cook. There's like...
Well, yeah, like the meat, when he's grabbing the meat. I don't know why he grabs that shit with his fucking prosthetic
Because
hand.
he's trying to hone in the tension.
I just
get meat all over this fucking $10,000 hand.
Put the glove back on, for God's sakes, man.
Put a fucking like plastic glove on or something, right?
I was sitting there like, man, you got meat on those damn gears. That's gonna be a bitch to clean. It's gonna rust.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Yeah, oil can. You can't fucking wash that shit, right?
No.
I guess I'm just...
It's like a cast iron skillet.
Yeah.
It just didn't work for me because I thought that they made such a huge deal about the pressure with the hand. I thought they were gonna lean into that more, and it really doesn't come up except for like one or two other times.
It's so strong that he needs to hone it so that he could pick stuff up.
Yeah.
No,
and
I get that.
He does end up like at one point grabbing a marker and like starting to draw with the hand.
You can see like almost he has like he's reading a book and it's clear that he's eating with this hand.
Yeah.
And this is the hand he's using to turn
so
the
he's
pages.
trying to hone it. You know what I mean? It's something so delicate as like a page turn.
Yeah. You know, catch flies, as the doctor would say.
Yeah. I want to see him use chopsticks with that fucking thing.
Oh, fuck.
Now I'm talking. Yeah, exactly.
That's a talent if he can.
Yeah. So he's poring over these Mandro panels that Charles Fleischer, who does the voice of Roger Rabbit.
Roger Rabbit himself.
He's also in Demon Knight, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's the post office guy.
They're not quite, they're not close to his drawing as far as he's concerned. There's little differences here and there. The faces don't match exactly.
He's like, this isn't Mandro. It's not fucking man. It's not bloody Mandro. He doesn't think. What's all these speech bubbles and all this bullshit?
Yeah.
That I was 100% on his fucking side because why would you change that?
Well,
I
because...
agree. I understand where you're coming at.
Yeah.
I've been reading
but to do something that's unlisted, that like no one told you to do that, what the fuck are you doing?
Don't change the fucking story, especially not the first one.
No.
If you want this guy to cooperate.
Put your dick back in your pants, man.
Right,
All right? This isn't your rodeo.
Get a few in. I just think about like comics over the years that I've read. Obviously, it's harder with American comics because so many hands go through it.
Oh, yeah.
But like, I just think I always go back to One Piece because that's like the one I know the most about. But it's like, it makes me think of Luffy, the main character.
Yeah.
He's very similar in the sense of he doesn't ever get thought bubbles or anything. That's like a intentional choice.
Sure.
So it's that I just thought of that instantly where it's like, yeah, this character like Conan, he doesn't think, he just does.
Yeah.
And then it's like the second that this fucking Roger Rabbit guy comes in, well, we're gonna change it up. We're gonna modernize it. We're gonna give him speech bubbles.
We're gonna give him existential dread and like Lovecraftian themes throughout this mantra, which is actually kind of cool.
It is cool, but it's not
but
the
it's
character.
not. But it's not the character.
And also, there's an age gap between these two guys.
Oh,
and he's bringing it into the modern world to where, like, okay, no. We talk about our feelings now, all right? Like, it's okay for him to have self-doubt. And he's like, no, doubt means you are weak. You know what I mean?
He's like, it's not fucking weak. He's Mandro. He's the embodying of my confidence in the person that I want to be. Basically, is what he's saying.
It is, though.
Yeah.
And there's also kind of like, they don't go heavy into this because it's not the point, but there's even some kind of talk about it. He's like, look at the manuscript. He's like, all his old enemies return. It's like the guy's like a massive fan of Mandra, so he's just bringing back all the old villains, and it's like missing the whole point of the story where he's like, no, he's got to save the princess. He's got to do this. Like, and he's pissed.
Yeah.
And his wife's just like, what's the big fucking deal? Just sell it. Who cares? Like, and he's like, it's my life's work. What do you mean?
That is so that one hurt me too, because it's like, fuck you, how are we supposed to survive? And it's like, bitch, you were about to leave 2 seconds ago. You wanted this motherfucker to buy you an apartment so that you can leave him.
I mean, they did. They're in New York, so.
Which he wasn't originally going to go to.
Right, he only went because of the injury. Yeah.
So it was like, I don't know.
And she doesn't get it because that thing is she doesn't understand I understand, like a lot of people say, well, you don't understand until you walk through my shoes.
Sure.
And this is one of those scenarios where, all right, lady, you can at least try to understand what he's going through. I mean, I can do it and I'm not in his shoes. You know what I mean? I can understand like, no. This guy clearly took his baby and changed it when he wasn't told he was supposed to. And it is a big deal.
Yeah.
This is not something to be taken lightly. And she's just like, well, I think these, in the book, she goes, I think these actually look better. I'm like, oh my God, lady.
That would have fucking set me off. But like,
That's when he gets out the divorce papers. That's what she had to say.
like, I understand her making her mind up and like wanting to do what she wants to do regardless of what's happening. And she feels obligated because that she's, he's her husband to be there for him. Right. And to kind of understand and be like, well, you lost your hand, so I'm going to stay with you or whatever.
Yeah.
Or, we're navigating this. But like, she is so laser focused still on her, what she wants to do with her life, which I don't blame her for. But like the way she goes about it through this whole fucking movie is just infuriating.
You can still carve your path by also still being in a relationship and being in a partner.
Yeah, but you also don't have to fucking lie or like make a decision and just do it.
Yeah.
Because she's just like, I understand like her fear of like talking to him and him not listening, but it's also a thing of like her chewing it over so much and having this all in her head already and months and months and months of thinking about it and coming to a decision and then just kind of being like, hey, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
And him being like, well, I don't understand.
Well, again,
you know what I mean?
There's months or maybe years where she's been trying to have this conversation and he locks himself in his green room working on Mandro. I think is really the what they're not flat out saying. I think that's how I looked at it.
Again, double-edged sword because it's like, well, you're putting bread on the table. You know what I mean? You're affording this fancy life where she doesn't have to work. She can do whatever she wants. She can do this origin thing. You know what I mean? There's a trade-off
but for the X amount of however long this has been coming to a head, you can't fix it overnight.
Look, I mean, I know there's more to it than that. Yeah. The movie, just looking at the movie, though.
Without extra context,
it doesn't quite jive, and it kind of paints this picture that she's kind of a jerk off, and he's an asshole too in a different way.
Yeah, it's like
he's a major asshole.
Yeah.
She's the like it's coming off like, okay, if you're gonna put the blame and the problem on somebody, she is the blame the problem.
I get what you're saying,
and maybe because it's told from his perspective,
that's part of it.
It comes off that way. I don't know.
There's also a case of there's that loneliness aspect because they're in Brooklyn. And he ends up leaving, but before we get to that, he's kind of like, he walks in on a couple awkward situations. Like, he walks in on her and her fucking instructor, like in their house, like
having
doing
like
a session.
And this is after he has like the blowout.
Because we talked about like why this is all changing. Now he goes and meets with his editor and Roger Rabbit guy.
And Charles Fleischer, and they're like, hey, and they have that whole discussion that we just had where they're changing the character, and he's like, that's not my character.
He's like, you just want the two, you want to take over the strip, don't you? They are rat fucking them.
They are
straight
rat
up.
And they're like, no, that's not true.
And they also they made it clear that the people behind the people that we don't see in the room that are also a charge of everything. They clearly just care about making money. It's not about the art.
Nope, don't give a shit. And he's like, you want me to just sit here and collect my paycheck and you keep going? And it's like, well, yeah, that's about the size of it.
And
that's what his wife wants.
Yeah. Exactly. I was about to say that. That's what his wife wants. Like, I don't understand. You're getting paid just to barely write a story. Why aren't you happy? He's like, well, you don't get it because that's art. It's his baby. He can't do it, and they're not. And if he does do it, he's not able to do it to the degree that he's used to doing. And then he has to worry, almost like Oliver Stone when he's making the movie, has to worry with people fucking with his story. Yeah.
And then they don't get made.
Well, right, yeah.
And you don't make money, and you don't get to even make your art. So that's the other thing about it too.
But the pisser is, after all that, he's already pissed. He already doesn't want to do this, but what's he gonna do? They got him over a barrel. They probably own the rights to fucking Mandro. There's not much he can really do. And then they're like, all right, well, at least let's look at the pictures. Let's go over them.
Well, Charles Fleischer's like, yeah, I'll change whatever you want, Mister.
As he's rolling his eyes at the same time.
Yeah. So they open it up. And he's drawn all over the fucking boards that this guy's done.
He's clueless. He's just sitting there like, whatever, just waiting for the meeting to end. And they're like, oh my God, how could you? He's like, huh, what?
And he's like, well, he's just kind of like, I didn't do that. Like, what are you talking? I don't know how that happened. And then he's like thinking, and he
doesn't even defend it.
Well, in his head, he's like, shit, maybe my daughter did it.
Oh, yeah.
At first, when I first saw the movie, the first time I watched it, before I actually saw the whole length of the film and the ending and stuff like that, I was like, I thought his daughter actually did do it because
Yeah.
when they go back and have that little conversation, like, oh, maybe she actually did. She just doesn't want to tell her dad she did.
They do a really good job of fucking with you.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah, you're right, because that's when he's walking home in the bum, played by Oliver
Oliver
Stone.
Stone.
Oliver Stone.
Comes up to him, and this poor bastard just what is the term I'm trying to look for? Basically, he didn't need to die. He just caught Michael Caine on a bad moment because he's stewing, so he doesn't realize he's controlling the hand or something.
This is where we get the first before it was a dream,
Yeah.
but now it's like
intercut.
happening real time,
Yeah.
and everything goes black and white.
Yeah.
Right,
And
yes.
which becomes a staple of Oliver Stone's films. He puts those little things in there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I can't even put that together.
yeah,
You're
especially like I always
JFK
remember.
especially.
I always remember Natural Born Killer specifically when
Yeah.
they're in the diner. Everything goes black and white, and the bum is like going into this alley, and then the fucking hand is like creeping around the corner and leaps at this bum and chokes him to death in the alley. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh fuck.
It looks good too.
So the hand has killed somebody. Is
Yeah.
it real? Is it not real? We don't really know yet because it's a bum and nobody's
Yeah.
accounting for the bum, right?
I mean, I'm not. The thought hasn't even entered my mind at that point. To be honest,
Yeah.
the hand's real.
yeah.
Yeah, really, true. Like, yeah, and to be honest, that's the way the viewers have.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can perceive this
Yeah.
right now. You don't even know about the blackouts until midway through the
Yeah,
movie.
no.
That's
And then you're like,
true.
oh shit, is that what's happening?
Yeah.
And like,
I mean, you see him. Something's happening. There's some REM happening, but I guess they don't flat out say blackout.
Yeah.
But it's akin to what we just talked about, the Brood, in terms of like your rage manifesting.
Yes.
In that movie, Samantha Eggar's weird babies kill people, and in this
Yeah,
movie,
the
it's Michael Caine's severed hand that goes after people. That
it's rage
basically-
triggered.
It's rage triggered. Yeah.
Which makes more sense too. Like if you think about like his denial to talk about his feelings and stuff like that, it's just it capitalizes on that. Like, okay, well, I'm not letting this stuff out because I denied to do that because it's weakness. So I'm just going to hold it in. But what it's doing is just balling up and it's becoming its own entity, and that's what that entity is doing.
And it's brilliant.
yeah, no,
bottling it up. And
I
then
love it so
the
much.
concept
Yeah,
is
the
really
concept
cool.
is so
yeah,
fucking cool.
Yeah, I really like that.
But yeah, the bum gets taken out. He's already pissed. Then he sees his wife with the yoga instructor getting a little too
A
close.
psychology session, and she's like crying, and he's like touching her. He's like, "It's okay."
And this is like you
God.
said,
It's okay.
this is the second time now he's seen her because he went to the Origin Institute and sees her getting
Yeah.
like the lesson, and he's like touching her like breasts almost, and he's
Well-
like in the background like.
Yeah, when he's doing the yoga with her before that.
Oh
I was
my-
So
talking
he
about.
already knows there's something weird with this teacher
And he's like,
his
what
wife.
the fuck are you doing in my house with my wife, letting her cry on your fucking shoulder and like touching her, and then you're not allowed to talk about it?
Oh yeah, she says that. He's like, "What's going on with it?" She's like, "We're not supposed to talk about it after the session." Then he's a fucking dickhead about it though. 'cause
Oh,
he's
this
like,
is a pretty good fucking zinger, dude.
I was kind of pissed about this, but I get where he's coming from.
Yeah, but he's genuinely concerned about his wife, and he's like, "Well, why were you crying? Like,
Yeah,
do you want
yeah.
to talk? Can we talk about this?" And she's like, "Nah, go fuck yourself."
I didn't take it that way, but I could see why he took it that way because he's like, yeah, I'm never gonna get another job from her. Yeah, our daughter drew all over the things, and I called this guy an asshole, and we can't get along. I mean, he does it just. He does exactly what happened.
We're not gonna. Karen's not gonna do for nothing for me ever again.
Right?
Fuck
yeah.
it. And she's like, "Well, why?" And she's like, "We're not supposed to talk about it."
Yeah. I was like, what an asshole.
And that's another that character. So it's so funny. This is a small thing, but like almost every character in the movie except for Karen, they changed the name for some random movie.
I hate
and
that.
from the book to the movie.
Yeah.
His name is Pierre, and oh
Well,
my
I mean,
god,
good change.
Pierre, his character, because he's in the book more. Oh my god, he's so fucking annoying.
Michael Caine?
No, Pierre.
Bill.
The Bill's
Oh,
character.
Bill.
Sorry.
Bill's the
I
kind
got
of guy that I
confused.
want to punch in the fucking face.
Oh my god, what are you fucking doing?
You're moving
Get your
in-
hands off my wife.
Like, also, like, you're moving in on this fucking dude's wife.
yeah.
She's fucking married. Whether she wants to split up with her or not, don't do that.
They're also doing that stereotypical thing we were kind of joking about earlier where it's like the reverse on the, like, Michael Caine's character is a little bit more conservative, where it's like the stereotypical, oh, it's yoga. Oh, it's arts.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, even though
Yeah.
he's a comic artist.
It's a spiritual journey of the
Yeah.
bodies combining, and it's like you're just fucking this dude.
You're
Like,
not wrong at all,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I also think of like looking at psychology like it's a joke.
Sure.
That was even a thing like even in the last 30 years. I always think of Santa Claus even is like, with what's his face with
Yeah.
the weenie whistle.
Yeah, 100%.
So there's
Judge
definitely-
Reinhold.
There's part of that. I mean, what you're saying is right. There's some fucking that we're gonna find out about, but it's also that thing where he's just like, yo, what the fuck's this new age science? Get out of here.
They even start going on dates.
Oh, straight
in
up.
the book.
Wow.
Yeah.
But they're not. But she doesn't call them dates.
The get-togethers, lunches.
Oh, they're not dates, and he's Uncle Bill to Lizzie, and it's like, this is fucking weird.
It is weird.
Oh man, and this is the turning point where, like, in the book where I just had like so much difficult reading, because this is the point where
You were getting aggravated.
you get more. Well, you get both characters, and you get the backstory. So he's not this good husband. He's been fucking around with other ladies while he's around town.
book
so
version,
you don't get that.
Yeah,
in
and
this.
then he when she finds out he's fucking around with Bill, Pierre in the book, he's like, "Well, I never slept with ladies when we were in with proximity. It was always when I was on the road and you weren't there." I'm like, so it's okay.
Oh, like really paints him as the bad guy.
Oh my
Yes,
god!
yes.
What stays in Vermont, or what happens in Vermont stays in Vermont. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's the point where I was like, I shut the book. I'm like, I'm done with this, Becca. I can't finish it. I'm getting pissed off. I gotta walk around.
They're definitely, even though it pisses me off for different reasons, the movie's a little bit more nuanced than that for sure.
Yeah, because here's the thing: is I mean, I don't know how the book
ends,
ends, but
we'll have to
like,
wait for CB to break it.
yeah, I'll wait
yeah.
for that. But yeah, that's the point where like it's hard to continue to be on his side, because he's almost being like gaslit to how everybody is perceiving him and his actions.
Right.
And everyone's telling like, all you do is X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And you
You.
never listen. You you're so so highly of yourself. But while you're reading the book, it's like you don't get any of that.
And when you're watching a movie, you don't get any of that.
Exactly.
in my opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, he ends up taking a job to go work in California at this university, but it's like this fucking podunk town.
It seems like the university I went to.
I do think this is kind of
The university loosely, right?
yeah.
Mine was community college,
It's
but-
it's like a vocational school, basically.
There is also, just to add one more last wrinkle to their continuous argument that this marriage is in the toilet. After they have that whole spitting match with the I won't tell you kind of shit. He's like, yeah, by the way, so for money, I got this call from California. They seem excited. I'm going to take it. And it's kind of like this spit in the face to his wife for again, we don't know how long she's been talking about New York. And he's been, I might have agreed. I didn't agree. Then I went. And now it's like instantly he just is like, I'm going to California. You don't have a say. So it's like, all right, again, we find out what we find out about what's happening with the wife, but it's that thing too where it's like, oh, so you just still think I'm an afterthought, even after all this other shit that's just happened. And I think like, not justifying like her decision-making process, but I could see her sitting there and being like, wow, you really don't give a fuck about this marriage, do you? Because he's like, oh, I'll see you. Because before he's like, you can't take my daughter away from me, but now I'm going to California.
Well, he has to
I
make
had this pissing contest with my editor.
Well, he has to make a living, and I
does, he
and
does.
I understand the pride thing about.
I'm just saying, I think that's the dichotomy they're trying to create between them.
Totally. I just think that like the pride that he has with having his art basically taken away from him and being like, here's a bunch of money, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And him not wanting to take that and kind of getting spit in the face of, more or less. Like, I get that to an extent.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And he still has to make bones, and the way to do it is to go teach art. Teach his art
You're 100%
in the country.
right, too. The way it's written is very kind of tit for tat between these
I mean,
two.
at the end of the day, she's getting exactly what she wants.
Yeah,
To be away from him.
Right. And she's like, no, don't go. You know what I mean? But she's also like, all right, get the fuck out of here.
Well, as soon as he's out there, she basically says that to him.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, that's like she's just like, oh yeah, once he goes, then that's it.
I'm
I'm
all-
not fucking coming.
I'm all good. And then we can have Uncle Bill come over every night for dinner, and we
Exactly.
can become vegans.
And you can keep on paying for this shit.
And this is
Right, exactly.
we mentioned him earlier, but this is where Bruce McGill, who plays Brian, shows up, and he's another teacher like Joe was talking about. Where
He's a psychology
teacher or professor, and he picks him up, and he's like, "Yeah, so this is pretty exciting, huh?" And he's like, "Yeah, so what's the laydown on this?" He's like, "Well, basically, you got to get 15 students, and then after like the third class, if they don't show up, we don't count it because we get it as a tax write-off, and we make more money." And he's like, yeah, people just keep taking classes in this town. It's kind of a dead-end town. I've been doing it for like a decade. I even taught like wood shop once.
Well, it was like the bomb shelter or something like
Bomb
that.
shelter. He's
And
like,
Michael Caine-
I didn't know they still did that.
I love how Michael Caine
It's coming back.
Yeah.
He thinks this is an amazing opportunity. He's so excited about it, and he gets
Yeah.
this information, and he's like instantly deflated, but he's like, it'd still probably be pretty good,
Yeah,
right?
He's trying to be optimistic about it, but it's like, yeah, this is like not what you expected
No.
at all.
When he gets to that first fucking class, he's like, let's round robin the class. What's your name? What's your favorite comic strip?
Talk about people like taking the class over and over again. There's like 60-year-old fucking men in this
Oh
class.
no, that was the community college I went to. I remember I went to I was in algebra or something like that,
Yeah.
and the guy sitting next to me, his name was Bob, and he was 43 years old from Chicago.
Yeah.
He was very cool though.
Well, they have, I forget what the name of that is, or the term rather. There's a way you could take college courses. There's a term. You don't get graded on it, but you could take the course. You could learn the shit.
Yeah, I mean that happened
Remedial,
too.
no, electoral.
Electoral,
Electoral,
yeah.
yeah.
I had a few people like that.
Yeah.
But it's funny, you're right, because half of the class is old people and a couple of young people. One in particular, Jane Butterfield from fucking Beetlejuice. Not a real name. That's the name from Beetlejuice.
That's my card. Jane Butterfield.
But she took some tips from fucking Indiana Jones. She's got the love you on the eyelashes. Well, they don't show that, but
like Sean was saying, they're like going around rooms. He's like, let's get to know each other. And he's like, what's your favorite comic strip? And he's like, he's like, you don't have a favorite comic? He's like, no.
he didn't want to not say Mandro. He got nervous. Superman, you're out. Get out. You're fucking kicked out of my class.
Garfield. And then there's like a chick behind him, and she's like, you got a favorite comic strip? She's like, what? No.
Well, I guess that is also like the point of like comic strips.
And it's like
Conan in the newspaper. Is that even a thing?
But also people taking this course thinking that it's just like a fucking bullshit thing.
And he's
you know?
super serious.
Yeah.
And he's super serious about it. Because I've been in courses like this where like I'm super passionate about it, and the people that are there are just trying to fucking fuck off, or I take it because they're like, oh, this is easy.
I just need 3 credits.
I just need 3 credits or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, there's even a scene later when he's like doing a lecture about like how faces are
Oh,
grown, and
yeah.
it's just like the class is dead, and he's just like, "All right, well, I'll see you tomorrow."
This is a mean face. This is a nice face, and that's how you make comic
I'm
books.
more intrigued than the fucking students. I'm like, oh, yeah, I used to draw when I was a kid. This is kind of cool.
This is where he's like trying to cook for himself and like
with hamburger
get more
meat.
control over the prosthetic, and like he grabs the fucking hamburger meat and like. Man, he is like just about to lose his shit. He like drops the fucking hamburger on the floor. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh.
I know, but like you feel that
I know.
so much.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just like, it's that like, you're defeated, but you're not going to accept the fact that you are defeated. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm just sit my head down and color. That's all I'm going to do.
I'm just
going to
keep pushing down until all of a sudden it fucking regurgitates.
Man, I feel like shit. Let me call my wife and see how she's doing.
Yeah,
This will really give me a pep in my step.
this will make me feel better.
Shit, no, it won't. Make me feel worse.
When you're coming out here to see us, you know, it's not a great place, but, you know, we'll find a place. And she's like, yeah, you know, Lizzie really likes the school she's at, and she's met a new friend. So, like.
Well, the lease is up on Christmas.
Yeah. And he's like, but that's 2 months away. He's like, yeah, I don't know. We're probably not going to leave.
God.
And then he just stops listening and just hangs up the phone while she's like mid-sentence.
And she's like, well, you wanted to be alone, right? And he's like, that wasn't the plan.
Well, and again, maybe I am reading too much into it. When they keep making those kind of comments, maybe that is the kind of shit he used to give her all the time. I need to be alone. I need to write my comics. That's why I'm in a fucking greenhouse, separated from my family.
Also true.
I wonder if there's like some deleted scenes. Not that you need them, but
I know there are some deleted scenes. There were some scenes that were actually shot that never made it to the film.
but I wonder if they cover shit like that. You don't need it, but just added context.
I understand isolating for artistic purposes. You know what I mean?
Well, that makes sense to me because, like, you know,
I do too.
Things are extremely distracting when you're trying to get stuff done, especially when it's important because it's also your moneymaker.
Yeah, exactly.
You have there's no bullshit. You're not doing this for fun, and you can stop when you want. It's how you pay your bills.
And any creative out there is going to resonate with this. Is like the fact that like it's so hard to just be creative on command.
Yes,
You have to. The muse has to hit. You have to get into the flow. It takes a while to kind of figure out what the fuck you even want to do, and then you have to manifest that and then put it on, whether it's a drawing or a sculpture or a film or a script or something. Like people say, oh, you have to be in the mood, and it's like it's not necessarily be in the mood. It's like you have to be inspired to get it out of you.
Oh, I agree.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just think, again, I could be overthinking it, but I wonder if it is kind of, they keep coming back to that theme in this relationship. And it's like, definitely the thing he probably had said for years, but she's like making a mountain out of a molehill. Maybe not the best expression for what I'm trying to say, but I think you get what I mean. And then he's just like, now it's like hitting him like, fuck, I'm alone.
Well, oh yeah, totally.
Where's my daughter?
And like there's the long quiet parts of this
The
conversation.
static from the phone
Yeah.
is what gets me the most. That constant.
Yeah, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah. Oh my god. And this is just now he's just like. In the book, he was already fucking. Now he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
His student knocks on the door and is like, "Yeah, my sketchbook." And by the way, I already mentioned her a couple times. Annie McEnroe as Stella. Any Seinfeld fans out there? I guess not.
That's not even from Seinfeld.
I know, but it's the reference. The reference I'm making is from Seinfeld because they're referencing the real thing that I don't know. So there you go, Joe.
What is
Streetcar Desire.
Okay, there you go. Right, that was the whole joke in the episode. Yeah. But Stella,
Stella Roche.
she comes to because he's teaching the class and he gives back all the art books, and then she kind of, I guess, for whatever reason, takes it as like a sexual advance.
Well, she's like, some of my drawings aren't in there. And she's like, you already saw these all during class. So he's grading them. He gives them back. She comes to his
that's
house.
her excuse, right?
Yeah, she comes to his house. They end up fucking in the weird, most awkward sex scene.
What he's talking about? You think like he's gonna turn her away at first because she pulls the shirt up, but he doesn't.
Well,
she's just like, "Well, I'm really conservative. I love to do it. Oh, I'm old school. I love to do it in the
She's
bed."
like, I don't want to do anything for the rest of my life. She's very like...
She's very John Wayne like. I feel
she's like, I'm not gonna. She's like, I'm gonna keep taking classes until I die or whatever.
Right,
I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I feel.
Well,
like.
just her stance. Like she's just sitting there with her hand. Like she's got this power stance. Like almost like you're gonna fuck me.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Basically, she takes her shirt off. And she's
when
like,
she walks in, he's like, "What do you want to drink? A water or coffee?" She's like, "Got a beer."
Yeah. I'm the man here.
And then she's like laying in the fucking bed, all perky tits out.
and she's talking the other way she's talking too. She's like, yeah, because she's talking about Bill McGill or whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, he doesn't. He like looks right through me, you know. But you're looking at me. He never looks at my ass. But when you're looking at me, I know you're looking at me.
Right,
looking at me, you make me feel good. And she's like, "Are you ready to fuck or what? We're going. I'm call me old fashioned, but I want to go fuck in the bed.
In the bed, yeah.
And
my
like
God.
Michael Caine's just like rocking and fucking on this chick,
Do it harder.
and
harder.
she's like, "Give it to me already." And he's like,
I like the scene later.
He's just
When
like-
she's just like with the hand just like
man.
rubbing up
Oh,
against
man.
his missing hand.
Well, she's like, "Oh yeah, keep the prosthetic on. I don't mind it."
"You want me to come back sometime?" He's like, "Yeah, tomorrow." And she's like, "Okay, I'll see you."
You want to come back and fuck again? I guess it was a good lay.
So this is a big turning point of the movie because he's going through the sketchbook and he's flipping through it and he sees this like beautiful sketched piece of her naked getting like fingered by his prosthetic hand, and it's his art style.
Right.
And
Oh,
he's
God.
like, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
She didn't draw this. I didn't draw this. I don't remember drawing this."
Yeah, because clearly, if you see her photos. I mean, not photos. Her art.
Her shitty art.
Yeah, her shitty art. Unfortunately, but yeah, you see her shit earlier, and he's like, clearly, that's not the same
him.
stuff.
Yeah, but like that was like his kind of "why don't you come on over" kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
That he didn't realize that he even did, and
Yeah.
like gave it to her, and that's why she showed up in the first place.
Yeah, because this is
That's true,
and
right,
This
yeah.
is when now more of this shit starts happening
Yeah.
throughout the movie and stuff like that.
This
And
might
he's
be-
got missing time. He's having these blackouts.
That's with the blackout thing because he's
Yeah.
that guy Brian.
Yeah.
He's hanging out
Brian.
with him now. He's the only other really teacher he knows. So they keep going to this bar downtown, and Brian has a thing for Stella. He keeps talking about that Stella. She won't give it to me. And she, like Joe said, she even jokes, "Yeah, this guy Brian keeps looking at me, giving me the tough guy look. I ain't never gonna give it to him."
Yeah.
But they bond at this bar, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, you're getting blackouts. That's nothing to fuck around with." He's like, "Well, you know, I did a drawing. What's the big deal?" He's like, "Oh, you don't know what you could do." He's like, "You could just do some stuff that like your wildest imagination that you would never have the courage to do. You might do it." And he's like, "So I might rape somebody?"
I love how Michael Caine goes right to, "You mean like raping somebody?"
He's like,
and he's
you
like,
might kill
"Rape? I
someone."
mean, you could kill someone." And I'm like, Michael Caine, what are you talking about?
Maybe that was his concern.
It's just like, you know, it's like maybe you like sleepwalk and light something on fire or do something wrong. But
Fall
he's
off a
like,
cliff.
his first thing out of his mouth is, "You mean like rape somebody?" You're like, what?
Buddy, you got bigger problems.
You got fucking issues, my man.
He's like, "I'd be scared shitless." And that's when Michael Caine finally is
Yeah.
concerned. Before that, he's just like, "Yeah, blackouts. It's kind of weird."
And he's like, the unconscious is so powerful and all this stuff. So like, this is where you kind of figure out that like him bottling all this stuff up is manifesting itself in a split, almost like a split personality.
Yeah.
That comes out when he has these blackouts. It's him, question mark, or is it the hand, question mark?
Right. Oh, yeah.
But you see the hand drawing the picture, like severed, drawing it, which is pretty cool. Which he has like this clip of that
Like
looks
Voldemort.
like. Yeah, but that's what's so cool about the editing about this too, because it's a thought that he has while he's talking to Brian, because he sees the hand drawing it, and then he sees himself drawing it with the prosthetic hand.
Yeah, it's like the.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the point where like he has these thoughts, and he's seen them, and he can't tell if these thoughts are real or like, did this happen, or is this just me? Are these just my thoughts? And then through the movie progression, he starts to think that these thoughts are actually real. And when we find out a little bit later, like, oh, just because he thinks something doesn't mean it actually happened.
It does a good job of like tipping the audience off when things start to go black and white, and start to desaturate and lose color. You know what I mean?
And also, just to put a point on that too, Brian specifically brings up those blackouts because he's like, "Well, how do you think this was caused? Like, why would I start having this happen to me?" He's like, "Probably that hand getting blown off. It probably was just so traumatic."
And this is good. And this is like. If this is shit that Oliver Stone actually, he knows shit, like, cause he went to Vietnam and shit like that. This is, it's almost like when you talk about like Tom Savini doing like good special effects because he's seen shit.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And this is like, this kind of like mental capacity of like what your mind can do without you choosing it to do it.
Sure.
He knows, he knows that first, like, first person, I don't know what I want to say.
Shell shock.
Yeah.
Similar to that.
Exactly,
Obvious, like,
battle
psychiatric
fatigue,
things that need to be addressed.
Exactly.
It's like a Jekyll and Hyde thing on some level. I mean, it doesn't go to that extreme where it's literally like a night and day thing where it's an ongoing problem, but that's pretty scary. You don't know what you could be doing in these losses of time.
Yeah.
Like, it almost has like a Wolfman allegory to it,
Sure,
when you
yeah.
think about it.
True, yeah.
The most bone-chilling part of this fucking conversation is the very end where Brian's like, you know who the fuck you are.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know who the fuck you are. And it's like, but it's such a powerful message, especially like you said, like with him getting his hand cut off. The whole point of the story is that he loses his identity and spirals down a fucking rabbit hole of insanity. His life literally becomes unraveled.
Yeah.
And his hair progressively gets more fucked up as the movie goes on.
That is kind of funny. It just starts to go like Super Saiyan. It just starts
it does.
And this is one of those parts where it goes black and white again, and he's like walking past this convenience store, and this giant fucking hand arm blows through the window and like grabs him.
That was really confusing.
It was kind of crazy, and it's like, oh well, he obviously did something. He had a blackout episode, and I don't know what the fuck happened.
That was like straight out of David Lynch's brain. R.I.P. My God.
Yeah.
But yeah, that part was very weird. Again, I think by the time you get to the end of the film, it makes a little bit more sense. But that took me out a little bit because then it just kind of crash cuts to him in the convenience store, like, Stella, I gotta see you tonight.
I gotta see it tonight. Yeah. Well, that must be. It's him not being able to tell the difference between reality and what's a dream and things like that.
Which I guess if I didn't say it already, maybe if you guys did, I apologize for repeating ourselves here. But it is just that editing. It does like not only is it fucking with the audience, but it just showcases what is really happening to Michael Caine. Like things are not going the timeline of events actually don't seem like they're adding up properly. I don't know. Am I saying that? Or you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, because he's literally losing time, and we're doing it with his
and he's
character.
trying to piece these things back together. After.
A normal timeline is being all distorted, so he doesn't know what happened when it happened, and what's going to happen.
What day it is, who I actually talked to, did I do this thing or not?
Right.
And Brian explains it as being like super drunk.
Mm-hmm. Blackout
drunk and not remembering what you did, but you totally did it.
Remember when you yelled at the street, or you didn't remember? And it's like,
oh. So Stella comes back over. She's like decorating the Christmas tree with him
after they fuck.
She's riding him like the Dickens, and then
he gets her a gift.
Yeah, he gets her like lingerie.
Oh, this was so stupid. Talk about a fucking selfish gift.
He's like, I bought that for you, and she like
for
opens,
you.
But she opens it and she like cries about it because I guess she has feelings for Michael Caine.
She does.
Because she's like, oh, I'm going away for Christmas break to L.A. with some friends, and he's like, oh, some friends. She's like, yeah, some friends.
It's definitely
which doesn't make sense because. For her to be that upset,
she's upset about it.
But then for her to do what she was about to do doesn't make sense.
Well, this is the way I read it, at least, is that I think that because the spoilers, she's going to go to LA with Brian, who she's been basically ignoring for X amount of years, and she's finally said, "Okay, I'll go." But
there's a reason why, though.
I think she might be afraid of commitment, honestly. But
when
Michael Caine buys this thing, even though it is kind of a selfish gift being a nightgown, a sexy lingerie, I think that does take her kind of back in her seat. Like, oh, maybe this is more serious.
Like, you bought me a gift.
Because she even says, like, oh, are you going to come back? I don't think she originally was going to. And then, like, when she's like, okay, I will. She is going to blow off Brian. Brian thought he had it in the fucking bag, but she didn't know Michael Caine cared that much.
I didn't take it that way, but that makes more sense now for her to be upset. Like, oh, shit, this guy actually likes me. What am I doing? I'm about to do this that might hurt him. And that's why she's upset.
Because to her, it was just a lay.
Not only that might hurt him, but, like, when we go back to the bar and Michael Caine talks to Brian, and Brian's like, yeah, I'm going to go to L.A. for Christmas break and get 150 pounds of pussy every single day.
Fuck her whenever I want.
And he's like, L.A., huh? Who you going with again? He's like, you know, that stupid broad from the fucking supermarket. And he's just like,
oh, God.
This is another great... Yeah. The fucking... There's like a camera zoom in and, like, everything starts to go, like, he, like, starts to go deaf and, like, you know, that squealing sound of anxiety and everything gets drowned out. It's really good.
Well, this is when he goes on his...
And it's like, Stella's been lying to me.
Oh, right. And this is when he goes on his long trip to Reno.
Well, actually, so apparently... he does go because they shot. He actually killed a hooker in Reno. Oh. When he gets drunk and goes to the hotel, he gets a hooker. And he kills her. Yeah, Oliver Stone didn't leave it in the movie, but yeah, he said they shot it and everything. But he said he wished he would have kept it in the movie. And I couldn't find anything on the internet where it could have been.
For the punchline of the movie, I think it works better that it's not there.
Yeah,
and it's just
because then you can think of, did he actually go to Reno?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Is this another thing that he thought he did when he was actually doing all this other stuff?
Right.
Because he needs. It's almost kind of like he needed an alibi for what he was doing.
Yeah, he knew that he did, whether unconsciously or not.
Yeah,
well, right, because the fucking hand.
But Brian says he's like later when Stella disappears in a moment, he goes like, oh, you know, we were supposed to go to L.A. and you know I was gonna give her all this money, so it's like, oh, that's why she was gonna go to L.A.
And this is a weird
sugar daddy. Yeah,
this is a weird scene because this scene we just see POV. We actually don't get Michael Caine in this scene.
Holy shit,
you're right. Yeah,
I thought that was very weird. Like this is it's just for them to like flip, and this is something they haven't done throughout the entire movie to and then all like the.
You're talking about when she's walking around in the house?
No, when he goes to the bar and talks to him.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
you just see the POV of him looking at him,
yeah.
And apparently that actor actually really did get drunk for that scene. So that's actually him.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about the next scene when we do see Stella actually go back after her shift, and it's this kind of really creepy class. It makes me think like Black Christmas, actually, of just the tree, I guess, is what gives it away, the secret Christmas movie. And she's walking around, and she kind of goes, because she says, I'm going to wear the nightgown, because she sees how much it means to Michael Caine. And she grabs the gift, and she's kind of like looking at it, like, huh. And the fucking hand, comes out of nowhere and just grabs her.
Well, it's in the box.
Yeah.
And it jumps out at her, and it grabs her by the arm, and what's you hear here too, what you hear is
say that 5 times.
Yeah, is the prosthetic hand, like the sound of the crunching, like the bone crunching. It's like squeezing her arm like really tight. And then it fucking kills her. And then the POV, he goes back to the bar.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I think what's crazy too. Like if you watch the movie, the amount of times that a hand kills somebody, you would think it's always this. You know, it's always sometimes a hand kills somebody like this.
Yeah.
If you hate, and I don't know, that's something super small, but like, it is kind of nice to just like, all right, no, this scene, it's going to come from this side.
Yeah.
And it's going to start choking them this way.
Like deliberate.
Yeah.
It's funny when he goes to the fucking hotel, like after that happens, he's just driving and you don't know where the fuck he's going. He's just like listening to Blondie and he goes to this hotel. And
well, you could see Vegas off on the right, but yeah. Or if that's Reno itself, I'm not sure.
I think
Connor would know. Let us know, Connor.
Yeah, let us know. So Anne and Lizzie come to the cabin. Because they're supposed to be there for Christmas. And he tells Stella that beforehand.
This is insane. This part was he goes to the door to unlock it and it's already unlocked.
Fuck,
and he's like,
man.
He pauses, like sweat starts dripping on his face.
No, he's worried because he thinks that he can't remember what he did the night before.
I thought he was worried that Stella was going to be
That's
there.
what I mean.
Yeah,
I thought, is she dead under the Christmas tree?
Yeah. Or is she naked and making me coffee?
Yeah, right. So,
she knew his wife was coming.
Stay right there. I got you a surprise. Hang on a second.
It's coffee. It's coffee. She's upstairs.
Yeah. So he goes in and he's looking around for her or a sign of a struggle or her body or God knows
something.
what.
And he also wants to get that present out of there.
Yes, because it says to
Stella on it.
Stella.
He's also really awkward about it. He's like, oh, wife, daughter, just wait a minute. I need to look for something inside.
I got a surprise.
I'm not flushing drugs down the toilet. Just
Like,
wait.
Yeah, well, she's like, yeah, she's got a surprise. And when they come in, he like doesn't give them a surprise. He's just like, okay, coast is clear. Come on in.
Oh, the tree's a surprise.
Yeah, look, that's great. It's a tree. Okay. But he's like, oh, yeah, go upstairs. We'll take your bags upstairs.
He should have looked up there first.
Right? You'd think, especially in the bedroom. So he goes up there and sees Anne on the bed with the present. And she opens it and she's like, is this for me? And he's like, yeah, it's a Christmas present. And he like looks at the note, and the note on the cover doesn't say Stella anymore. It says to Anne.
Yeah, exactly.
With love.
Yeah.
From Jonathan. And it's like, was that present ever written to Stella?
That's another thing.
Was Stella ever even there?
Us as the viewers, we're like, we really don't know what the fuck's going on.
We don't know what the fuck is going on.
No.
I think Stella was there, but you bring up a good point. I wonder if when he handed that gift to her, it actually said Anne, and maybe that's why she had such a weird... I mean, now we're really getting deep into the weeds.
No, that's actually a good point, too. Maybe it did say Anne, and it didn't say Stella.
In the edit. We'll find out in the edit.
No, it definitely says Stella.
Yeah,
but,
it does,
like,
okay.
what if she read it and didn't say anything and was, like, crying because, like... This is for your wife.
Because so much of it is from his point of view. You
Yeah.
don't actually know from an artistic standpoint.
Yeah. It's really good to fuck with you as a viewer and kind of put you into the seat of madness that this guy's experiencing. Like, did this really happen? Did it not happen?
I mean, I like just an additional point to that too. Like, his wife knows instantly something's off. Like, he would never buy this for me, especially when they've when their marriage has been on the rocks a couple times. When she's been trying to clearly have sex with him. He like pushed her away. So it's like really awkward that she even gets this.
I was thinking of you and I got it for you. And she's like, really? And he's like, yep. I was thinking of you when I bought it. And so there you go. Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas.
Why'd you get it? Because I thought you'd like it.
Yeah, because I thought you'd like it.
What?
She doesn't buy it for a second.
I got it for you and Bill. It is a present for Bill.
It is for Bill, right?
Yeah. So they're eating dinner and like... There's just some weird stuff here with the kid. And Lizzie's like, we don't eat steak anymore because Bill said it makes you angry.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, oh, boy, here we go. And, like, I can understand to a point where the woo-woo's getting a little much.
Mm-hmm.
And influencing the child, where it's like, that's a decision that child should make themselves.
Exactly.
Whether or not that they should be going on a fucking diet.
Yeah.
What is that about?
That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, that's because my son is about her age right now. And it's funny, like, there's one thing. Well, they learned health in school.
Sure.
So he's more aware. It's like, oh, I don't want to eat that, Daddy. That's got too much sugar in it. I'm like, buddy, if you want it, you can have it. It's okay. Yeah. But like for them to instill this into her and make it, like I said, a diet and like focus on like that. All right. Come on. Now, you can have your thought process and the way you want to live life, but before you shove it down the throats of a individual and give them a complex,
right?
Let's think about what we're doing here.
Now, this is the part where I'm like, okay, you think Michael Caine's fucking up your child, but you're also fucking up your child.
Uncle
in a different
Bill
way.
is fucking up your child.
Uncle Bill is also fucking up your child.
They always reference fucking Santa Claus when a divorced couple is involved with a kid, but it's like it is also kind of like that movie. It does a similar thing where they're trying to paint both sides of the spectrum are both kind of wrong because it's the you know, it kind of makes me think of this where it's like they're both wrong for different reasons. Mom and dad, just like Santa Claus. Tim Allen's wrong and mom's wrong, but they're both trying to help their kid. They're just going about it the wrong fucking way. This is like that extreme end of it where it's like in Santa Claus, Charlie's gonna have psychiatry when he doesn't need it. This, it's like, my daughter's having a diet. She's like 6. Don't eat French fries, kid. No salt.
I love
too much.
I love the idea of the Santa Claus movie, but Tim Allen isn't really becoming Santa. And he's just going crazy.
Well, that's the movie, right?
No,
my dad
thinks he's Santa.
My dad's Santa Claus. He's like, look, I gained all this weight. And
if we ever cover
I love that idea.
If we ever cover it, maybe we'll revisit that.
It's like the hand, but it's Santa Claus.
You even get it in Santa Claus too. He's like, yeah, well, he lost all the weight, but it looks like he's gaining it back. Yeah. You know, now he's got to find a wife because he doesn't have a Mrs. Claus.
He's like, I just shaved, and it shows him like growing the beard.
What happened to Santa? He fucking died because he keeps losing and gaining weight every year.
And when you see he just
destroyed his heart.
He shaves and he's like, it's growing back, and he's putting glue on his face.
He's like Terry O'Quinn, Terry Stepfather style.
He killed Judge Reinhold and takes Charlie.
He wants
and
that
he's
weenie
like,
whistle.
yep, it's gonna be Christmas every day, kiddo. We're going to the North Pole. It's just some fucking cabin up in the fucking wilderness.
MDU?
The elves.
In the MDU, that probably is. And one of the parallel universes, that must happen.
Yeah, it's absolutely. Again, this woman has the worst fucking strategy ever.
Oh yeah.
Her bags aren't unpacked, and he's like, "What do you mean you're not staying? Your bags aren't even unpacked." And
It makes
she's
it
like,
really obvious.
Oh, and
she's
he
like-
already knows.
He already knows.
He fucking knows.
And she's like, "Well, I came all the way up here to tell you that I'm going to leave you and I'm moving to California, San Francisco, and we're not staying here." And he's like, "What the fuck?"
Oh my god.
with the instructor,
With Uncle
naturally.
Bill,
With
Uncle
fucking Bill.
Yeah.
fucking him.
And he's like, "What have you been doing? Are you with Bill?" And she's like, "I don't know what you mean. Like that doesn't. We're not with each other. We're spiritually."
He pulls it out
connected."
of her.
And he's like, "Let me ask you this way then. Are you fucking him?" And she's like, "I don't have to answer that." And he's like, "What the fuck do you mean you don't have to answer that? Like you're my wife. I love you. You need to tell me what's going on."
Yeah. And then she's like, "All right, yeah, a couple
And
months now."
She goes, "Yes, I am." And he's like, "Well, that's just fucking great."
That conversation's an entire chapter in the book.
Wow. I mean, like, it's
It
just
happens
so,
before this point, but she's just like, he's like, "Are you fucking him?" He's like, I don't know what you. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you sleeping with
Yeah.
him? And it's like, and she just won't answer his
I don't
question.
know why. And it's like just pull the fucking Band-Aid off, lady.
Yeah.
She's like, "Well, if I admit to that, then that's adultery, and then I can't get half your money."
Yeah, I can't get alimony.
Yeah, it's like, fuck
She
you.
loses her argument,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You
right,
know.
exactly. But it's like, you made the wrong choice. You should have just broke it off and went with Bill and called it a
Divorce.
fucking day.
Done.
It would have been fine.
And mind you, they are separated, but in his mind, they're not separated.
I mean, they're away from each other,
Yeah.
but they're not separated.
Yeah, separated. You know, separated is like, you know, when you're splitting up, it can be
Yeah.
like, you know, either you're going through divorce, you're starting the process of divorce.
And you want to stop living together.
Exactly. But this is just due to work, and they're just separated because he has a job and he's paying the bills.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
she's like, "You don't love me. You never love me." And he's like, "Oh, well, Bill does." She's like, "Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Of course he does."
God.
She's like, "You
Get
love
the fuck outta here.
Mandor, you love your
He fu-
daughter."
He massaged my chakra. He knows me. He
That's the
shoved
only
the
thing he's
crystal up my
massaging.
pussy.
I think they're both assholes
But
because
then-
how many years did you have to fix this marriage and you made zero fucking attempts?
And he's like, "You're not taking my daughter away from me." And he's like,
Well,
"Well,
yeah,
we'll just see. Why don't you ask Lizzie what she wants to do?" And it's like, he says that she's brainwashed her. And I'm like, well, that's kind of true.
I'm also in California. I know California's gigantic.
Look,
but-
it doesn't take much to be like, if he has influenced what this little girl's eating, what's to say that, like,
Wow.
your daddy doesn't love you anymore?
Oh,
Your-
100%.
Your daddy is all the
Yeah,
way
yeah.
in California because he doesn't want to be with you, but
Yeah.
I want to be with you because I'm your mom's new friend.
Yeah,
you
you're
know
right.
what I mean?
You're
That's
right.
that's sickening.
Yeah.
That whole like those, even though this doesn't happen in the movie, but that
Yeah.
behind the doors conversations that you know were had before they got here,
Yeah.
just makes me sick.
Yeah, it just, I hate it because she's doing this on purpose, like the wife, instead of just being like, "I want to live my own life. I don't want to be with you anymore," you know, but she also wants to take the kid away from him.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why don't you just split the being with the kid, and then you could go do your thing and he can go fucking do his thing. You know what I mean? Why do you gotta be like cutting ties completely? And she keeps saying things like, "Well, this isn't how I wanted it to be," and blah blah blah. And it's like, no, you wanted this guy to not leave you, keep making money, pay you, while you can go fuck Bill and
Yeah.
be with him in New York with your daughter and live a completely separate life from him and just call him every once in a while to make sure his hand's doing okay.
I mean, I don't agree with that at all.
No?
But that's fine. I
well,
don't
what
think.
do- what-
I think it turns into that eventually because of the way that their relationship goes. But again, I'm just gonna die on the fucking hill that this relationship was already in the toilet at the beginning of the film. We were not privy to the years of it going in the toilet.
Yes, but the way
Because
that-
I think what you're saying, I am not even disagreeing with. I think you're 100% right of like the logic you're going through. I just think that she's already fucking checked out. She's had 6 or 7 years of this marriage going fucking nowhere, and he doesn't give a fuck. And like, yeah, she pulled the rug out from under her. I'm not disagreeing
but
with that.
she keeps doing it, Sean.
But he's also fucking his student, so he's not in the right either.
I didn't
Yeah.
say that he was in the right, but I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
stop fucking doing the song and dance. Just end it
Well,
already.
I agree, but I think it's actually more realistic that she gives the song and dance because that is what people would do. But you're right; she should just be like, "Yeah, I fucked him."
That's my point.
Like
Yeah.
you called me, the
My
cat's
point-
out of the bag.
My point is
Amanda's
just
out
like
of the bag.
my point is just like you've already felt like this.
Yeah,
you didn't want to
yeah,
be with
yeah.
him since jump of this fucking movie, so just end it.
Just end it.
This
yeah,
is this
I agree.
This
She's
reminds
trying to secure her fucking.
Listen, I'm big on the team of hey, you guys aren't getting along, just fucking get divorced.
Yeah, but
then there's no tension.
My point is she's trying to secure her other fucking squeeze before she breaks it off with him, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, but again, from my perspective, I think it turned into that. I don't think that was the initial plan. It turned into that because
that's
he's out of sight, out of mind, and he's an asshole.
Yeah, but that's my whole point. Is that
well, if he was a little bit more present and actually cared about fixing their marriage, I think it would have been fine. But he's like, I'm going to California. I'll see you later. Wait, you don't want to be with me anymore? What? Well, hold on a second.
Sean, she has no interest in patching it up.
I feel like
we can agree to disagree. I don't want to keep talking in circles here.
I'm just saying that.
I think there's been years. I don't want to just sound like a fucking record here on a skip.
No, I agree with you too, but I'm saying like she could have just fucking got a divorce.
Yeah. But we need Michael Caine to be pushed off the fucking edge.
Well, this is also
so
true.
his hair can really go full Larry Fine.
This is also true.
But as much as we're kind of going back and forth on this, that's why this movie's kind of nuanced. Like, it wouldn't be interesting if it was just cut and dry, you know?
I know. Well, I agree with you. It's just like, she's like, then she gives him some line like, well, we can't raise her together, so we have to be apart.
Well, that's where that's where she loses me, right?
Yeah. And then it's like, but she makes it out like he's never going to see her again. Like,
you're
Lizzie.
in California. Are they living in a fucking prison?
No, but like the way that it's
presented to him.
Presented to him is that she's taking her away essentially. And then she never says like, "Will you be able to see her on weekends or whatever?" She's just like, "Well, let's ask Lizzie what she wants to do. I don't think she wants to see you anymore." Kind of.
I think there's also that factor too, where like when she says she's taking Lizzie home.
Yeah.
He's like, well, this is her home. It's like there's a constant pissing match. It's like escalating just to escalate. But I think this is a sticky situation.
And he also hasn't fully accepted that his wife is fucking somebody else and has checked the fuck out from the relationship.
Yeah.
She goes to the market and she uses his car and she's like, "What's that smell?" And he's like, "Whatever. Go get your groceries and we'll see you soon." And he's playing like Chinese checkers or something with Lizzie, and they're talking about mundane things like, "Oh, when's mommy coming back?" And he's like, I don't know. Mommy went to the market. She'll be back soon or whatever. But this is where we get the little things like, "Oh, you hungry? You want a snack?" She's like, "I'm on a diet. Sorry, I can't eat." And he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Right. Before that though, like mom goes to leave, and this is like, he's talking to her, and he sees the fucking hand moving around in the trunk, and he doesn't say anything. He's just like, all right, well, yeah, groceries, have fun.
In the back seat.
Yeah, like, and then, like, you're right, he's talking with his daughter, and then, like, as he's, like, chit-chatting with her, we get, like, the slow zoom in, and then, like, the screen starts to fade, and he's sitting there thinking about her fucking getting choked to death, and the car flying off the road.
Exploding.
And he's like, oh, yeah, I don't think your mother's coming home. Like, he just knows. Like, he's like, I got a psychic link with my hand.
But this is so great, too, because he's like, Mommy, be back soon, and then, she hears the car pull up, and she's like, it's mommy. He's like, that's not mommy. And he's like, yeah, it is. He's like, no, it's not. And like,
he's picturing the police.
And then he's like picturing the police walking up to the thing.
Because to this point in the movie, so far we're made to believe we're at the point where like, okay, we're accepting these thoughts or what's really happening. And this is when it flips. Oh, no, it's not.
Actually, no, that's not what's happening.
This is the big one, because mom walks in and it's like, he's like, oh, I was so convinced. She's like, convinced what? And he's like, oh, nothing. Oh, welcome home.
Car trouble. I thought we were going to have car trouble. Well, I did, but...
yeah, because he purposely has this thing with the car, which it's implied the hand fucked with it, but we don't ever get confirmation. But it's like, yeah, it's like flooding. It wouldn't start at first. I had to get someone help me. So he's like, fuck, my plan failed.
Yeah, he thought she was going to fuck, the hand was going to kill her, and he like knew it and like let her go anyway.
Which is pretty fucking devious. Like, now you start, as much as I'm debating about some of this stuff, it's like, there is at least a human person there. Now it's like, bro, you're turning Robotnik on me. You're going on the dark side. Where's that M on your forehead like Vegeta, the Majin symbol? The Michael Caine, it appears.
Oh,
the JL. Jonathan Lansdale appears on his forehead. Because now it's like, now he just is like trying to control this fucking thing with his mind, it feels like, where he's like, I'm gonna kill my wife, and no one will think I did it because it's just a hand.
Well, right, but he can't separate it, and it's almost like the Creepshow thing where he like lures Billy under the stairs so that the thing can kill it, right?
Yeah, that's
similar.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah. This is where we do that POV thing that you were talking about in the bar. And it's like this really disorientating thing because Michael Caine's talking, but we only focus on Brian. And you hear Michael Caine talking, but you only see Brian.
Brian is frustrated.
And Brian's like, man, she skipped out on me, man. She left me. And he's like, well, I thought you were going to L.A. with the Stella lady. And he's like, why do you care so much, man? He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I don't know. He's like, you ever make it with her? He's like, no, I never even saw her, only in the classroom. And he's like, what? He's like, only in the classroom, man.
Well, he does keep asking about it. So then they're leaving the bar and they're kind of close to each other. And Brian like pulls over in the middle of the road, causing, of course, Jonathan also has to stop his car, and he's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
He like cuts him off to make him pull
Yeah.
over. He's like, why are you so worried about where Stella is?
Yeah, he gets out of his
He's
car.
like, were you fucking her? And he's like, no, I swear I wasn't. I mean, I did.
Does
and
the
then-
same fucking thing his wife did. That's what I'm saying. It's written that way to make it like the parallel, you know? He gets so pissed that his wife won't admit it right away, but I mean, not that he owes anything to Brian.
This is a little fucking
It
different.
is. I'm playing
Fuck Brian.
playing
okay?
up a comedy joke. Come on.
I know, but Brian can go get fucked, all right? He's also a piece of shit.
He's a piece
by
of
himself.
shit, but
Yeah.
he doesn't admit it to Brian right away.
No, no. But he's like, I saw Stella and then I went to Reno. You can call and check. I was there. I got drunk.
Check my fucking speedometer for the
like,
miles.
He's like, you went to Reno by yourself and you checked into a hotel. He's like, yeah, I sure did because I was sad and I didn't want to see her because we had a date.
He's like, all right, well, I'm going to just call the cops anyway and have them check that out. How do you feel about that,
like,
Jonathan?
And he's like, oh no, you blacked out again. He's like, I'm calling the cops, man.
Well, this scene would actually make sense too with if we actually saw the prostitute scene, because then he could have been like, I went there
And killed a prostitute?
well, not saying killed a prostitute, but I went there to meet a lady of the night or something
Yeah,
like that. I was
yeah.
so upset and I got a hooker or something like that. I mean, it's clear that he could have inserted that there
Yeah.
to make more sense of why he went to Reno.
Absolutely.
It is also a horror movie, so Brian needs to say these words so he can be eliminated rather than just hold them within his brain and make the phone call when he gets home.
Well, he's also drunk as a fucking skunk.
Yeah. So I love how he gets back in his truck. He's like, all right, I gotta call cops.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden the fucking hand comes around the corner and fucking grabs him by the throat. Dude, squeezes his throat so hard that like blood shoots out of his mouth.
Yeah.
That was the coolest one, I thought.
It's awesome. It's really good.
And then like Michael Caine, like, I don't know, again, has that psychic connection or something. He's like in his car, like kind of looking forward. I don't know how you could possibly see anything, but it's like, I guess he's dead, and just fucking leaves.
Well, it's not a psychic link per se, but like
The way it's presented, I
the
mean.
way it's presented is like he thinks he's still in the car.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So he goes home and he's completely fucking unhinged at this point. And he goes upstairs and opens the door on Anne. She's like reading. He's like, "You're not taking Lizzie away from me.
Oh, God.
I won't let you."
Oh yeah, he's so just deadpan, just staring at her like I'm just like this, like just intent, this presence.
Yeah,
you know what
it
I mean?
is. He is fucking terrifying in
Yeah.
this scene.
Oh, also, because we skipped it, and I don't want to forget about it.
Sure.
He's taking a shower at one point. It might be
Oh,
after he
that's
make.
like way back.
It was when he's making the fucking meat.
when he's in New York.
Yeah, oh my God. He's like taking a shower and he grabs the fucking handle and it turns into a hand. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, where's Jacob fucking Marley? Because he's Scrooge later and the same thing happens. So, Movie Dumpster Universe, did Michael Caine, did he actually survive this film and get sucked into the Muppet universe at some point?
Scrooge. That's why he
Yeah.
wears those gloves in, in
needs
Christmas Carol, yeah. Or Muppets Christmas Carol, yeah.
That was shocking. Good use of visual storytelling there.
So this is the climax of the film.
Yeah.
The hand is like crawling up in the bed where Anne is sleeping.
Oh yeah,
And it crawls over to her and ends up like jumping out and like choking her.
I like the hand scenes too, because we saw some like earlier in there in the apartment, the hand's like underneath the chair and it just goes back. Under, like those scenes are really
Oh,
chilling.
man. Oh,
Like
yeah,
a spider.
Yeah.
Or you
exactly.
see it like at a periphery or it
Yeah.
like goes behind shit. So Michael Caine thinks he's downstairs like in this piss cot and he like jumps up and he runs into the bedroom and he sees the fucking hand like strangling her and he goes and runs over and he goes to grab it but it like runs off and jumps out the window and the window's wide open and Lizzie comes running and she's like, "No, you're hurting mommy." And he's
Yeah.
like, I didn't hurt mommy. It was a prowler. He jumped out the window. He's like, call the cops, call 911.
Well, then he goes to one of our favorite movie locations on Movie Dumpster. He runs out to the fucking barn that he has.
The Evil Dead shed. He
right.
grabs a fucking knife and he follows like a blood trail into the barn. And this is cool because he has a whole face off with the fucking hand from Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Well, this scene of him fighting the hand, I like one of my favorite parts. Like when he goes up the pants leg and it busts out of his shirt,
Grabs his dick.
But first it grabs his dick first and then it comes out.
I love that. Like I'm watching this movie and I'm like, sometimes like when this hand gets like hurt, he almost has like a reaction. I'm like, okay, is he feeling that? He grabs his fucking knife and is like trying to go out his hand. I was like, you're basically attacking yourself. What are you doing? Stabs it. It's like walking around with the knife in the hand.
Dude, he stabs the hand and it screams and like runs over to it, like crawls over to the fucking tire on the car.
Oh, grabs it.
And it grabs it and it pops the tire.
That was the coolest
But
part.
then he puts his hand on the knife and then pulls it out because the tires popped. The way that is done and the punchline of the movie is fucking brilliant, the way that's done. But yeah, it ends up like jumping on his back and then it like chokes him. It's like choking him to death.
Kill himself.
And he fucking passes out.
Stop hating yourself. Stop hating yourself. Stop choking yourself.
Dude, we just killed our girlfriend with a chainsaw. Does that sound fine?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, he's choking himself. Anyway, he wakes up and the sheriff is there.
Oh, he wakes up like this, by the way.
Yeah, he wakes up with his own hand around his neck.
Face is fucking blue as hell.
And he's like,
His other hand's in his pants.
yeah, he's like, yeah, oh, fucking David Carradine special.
Oh, God.
He's like, hey, you okay? Wake up there, kiddo. He's like, you all right? And Lizzie's in the barn, and the cops are in the barn. He's like, oh, what happened? He's like, is my wife okay?
Yeah.
And she's apparently not dead. Who did not die.
Right.
And she was put in. She's put into the ambulance. She's like, she's gonna be just fine.
Also, they must just have a hot lamp on top of this barn, just blasting these police officers because this fat cop is just covered, dripping in sweat. He's like, "What are you so nervous about? What's wrong?" And he's like,
"It was
well,
raining."
No, it's rainy, but like it's also the tension.
It's a combo
of what's happening, and like all these dudes are sweaty, and nobody this is the crux of this is the punchline of the movie, right? So everybody, the tension's very high. So like, you smell that, man? Yeah, I smell it. It's coming from the trunk. And he's like, can you open your trunk, please? And he's like,
he's just gonna do it at first.
And he's like, yeah, no problem. I'll go open the trunk. No big deal. And he's like, wait a minute. Why do you want to see in my trunk? You think I did something wrong, didn't you? And he's like,
why are you sweating?
He's like, I sure fucking did.
What's that smell? No.
Yeah.
This buildup is too, because like at the first time you watch, you're like, well, there's nothing in the trunk.
There's nothing
There's
in the
not
trunk.
going to be the trunk.
Right?
This is the thing is we're going to be like, oh, there's nothing in the trunk.
Yeah. He's so confident.
He's even like, Stella, no, I don't know her. She's just a student.
Yeah.
Opens the trunk, both her and Brian. They're
And he's, well, yeah, because the cop is like, oh, well, we found Brian's car up the road and he had gotten to an altercation. She's like, Brian, he's like, I don't know anything about that. Opens the trunk and opens it up, and Stella and fucking Brian are like in there all fucked up, and I think Brian has like something stuffed in his mouth. Man,
Michael Caine explodes.
and they're like, "Oh my god!" And my god, Michael Caine's standing there, and he's just like, "Ah!" And then like everything flashes before his eyes, everything that he did.
Yeah.
It shows him go into the room with Anne, and he's brutally beating this woman in the fucking face with his prosthetic hand.
Breaks on her
Oh,
face.
yeah, because her face is all bruised
Dude,
up.
he beats the fucking shit out of her so much that the hand breaks over her face.
Yeah. And also, that trunk is fucking huge.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
They don't ever. I guess he choked Brian out, or maybe not. But they do show him actually, like we were talking about earlier, choking out Stella. It's not the hand. He actually did kill her.
No, he kills her, and it's just like,
I wish her eyes were not crossed, though.
She was like,
That's Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Death right there.
Oliver should have went for another take on that one.
fucking Black Bart's guys from Christmas Story with the crosses over their eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man, so it all finally comes into view, and you're like, man, he just had a psychological break and just fucking started killing people, blacking out, not even know. That's what I like about this, is that it's not just him killing people. Like, he's not conscious of himself doing it.
Well, I think that's why he's not just in prison at the end.
Right, but like he is convinced that it's a separate entity doing these deeds that he has, that are, but it's actually him doing them. He has these blackouts.
And I think that has a lot to do, I think, with your internal psyche of like knowing that you did something wrong, but telling yourself
that you didn't.
And also, he's stating like I mean, they kind of lead to him being like a narcissist.
Yeah.
So of course it's not my fault.
No, I didn't do it.
I didn't fucking do this.
It's not my fault I'm fucking crazy. It's not my fault my hand got cut off.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And he's got the EEG thing on his head, all the fucking things tucked, the electrodes.
And he heard a voice say Zool.
He heard, Ghostbusters, of course. Zool with the fucking, or Dana with the Zool EKG or whatever the fuck they call it. Anyway.
Says his name's Louis Tully.
Yeah, but we have
lives in Central Park West.
this fucking psychologist or doctoress, depending on where you see she's credited as, but it's fucking Aunt Bedelia from Creepshow.
Vivica Lindfors, man. When I saw her, I was like, I totally forgot she was in this because she's only like the acid in the movie.
And she's just kind of like, all right, well, like, you didn't mean to do it. Yada yada. She's trying to rehabilitate this guy, and she kind of goes. I've referenced Stepfather a couple times, but I think of Stepfather 2 when that warden or whatever he's called, like, he's like, "Oh no, Stepfather, you're fine. Release the bandages or the restraints. We could take care of this, no problem."
By the way, we have a third hand now in the MDU, so it's Michael Caine's hand, the Stepfather's hand, and
the idol hand,
or not it. Thing.
Oh, well, there's 4 then. The
Well,
idle
there's 4.
hand.
Yeah, right. There's
Listen,
idle hand.
I didn't want to bring it up because I haven't referenced it in a while, and I don't want to just confuse people with our movie dumpster universe shit. But like, this movie is literally is the Stepfather 4 that I've talked about on this fucking show, where his hand comes back and it's evil. Go back, look at some of those Stepfather episodes to see what I'm talking about. I was thinking it the whole time I'm watching. It's not a 1-to-1, but that fight scene at the end, I could see Terry O'Quinn fighting his fucking hand.
Well, the idle hand.
Dino fucking deep fake that shit.
Well, the idle hand is Terry O'Quinn's
in the
hand,
lore, in the MCU lore.
Yeah. Thing is his other hand.
He's the one that battles it.
And now we have Michael Caine's hand, who's like, I don't know.
Maybe we'll do a short on it, maybe.
Chaotic evil.
yeah. But you're right, the hand shit. It's been a while.
So she's working through it, and she's trying to convince him, like, there is no fucking hand. This is your fault. You did it. You killed these people, and you need to believe this because this is the truth. And he's like, no, it's not.
Well, that's why she releases the restraint.
And she's like, okay, well, where's the hand now? He's like, it's coming for your neck. Now, she releases the restraint, and then she asks him where the hand is.
Right.
To your point, which we're going to talk about in 1 second.
Well, I say because he grabs her hand, and there's kind of remembering like when he had the prosthetic, grabbed his own hand. It's a very tight grip, and she's like, ooh.
But he doesn't hurt her.
No, not really, yeah.
And she's like, the hand isn't real. And she's like, yes, it is. And she's like, well, where is it now? And she's like, it's about to be around your neck. And she's like, there is no hand. It's you, Jonathan. You're the killer. And then the hand jumps out and fucking strangles this bitch and slams her on the ground, and her fucking head explodes with blood on the ground.
Yeah.
And Aunt Bedelia dies for the second time. And, or the first, actually. And then Michael Caine's like laughing to himself, and he ends up standing up out of the chair and
screaming.
And that's how the movie ends. But to your point, what was your thought on that?
Oh, what I said before we started recording?
Yeah.
I just think that this is like the stupidest tacked on ending of a fucking. I mean, horror movies love to do this, like, oh, what's happening at the end of the movie?
Yeah.
But I just felt like this isn't the kind of movie you needed to do that. It just makes the rest of the movie actually more confusing because now I'm not sure. Was the hand fucking real? Was it all in his head? Is this end scene all in his head, or is the hand real? Like, it's just I feel like this movie had a lot of things going for it. We talked about it for a long time. I feel like there is a lot to talk about.
Absolutely.
That aspect of it just totally fucking just ruins the movie for me. I think it's just like we didn't need that extra bullet on the end.
Don't forget, John Peters produced this movie. So he's known for doing shit
The
like
jump
that.
scare.
I know.
But to be perfectly clear here, she lets the hand
No, I know. I
out
realize
of the
that.
restraint.
Yeah.
So it's probably just him doing it.
It's very much him just grabbing her by the throat and killing her.
And listen, Inception is literally one of my favorite movies, so I'm all there for a confusing ending or something that makes you think. I mean, I'm thinking about it still 2 days after watching it. Which is, I guess, credit to the film. But I don't know. I just didn't like that. Maybe on a rewatch, it won't bother me as much. But this time, I was just like, man, like it definitely it makes you think about some of those earlier scenes differently.
Yeah.
And we kind of alluded to that as we're talking about the movie, just in general. But I don't know. I think they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. And it just like, I didn't need all that. It could have ended with the big reveal at the end. I don't need this scene where he's got a fucking thing on his head and the doctor's trying to help him. And also the movie was like, I was like, why is this still going on? Why is this not fucking over? Which is, a different thing altogether. I didn't like the double fake out. I don't like that shit.
It also kind of puts a period on, like, there is no rehabilitating this man. He is beyond broken.
Yeah.
That is a
You know
good
what I mean?
point.
The damage has been done.
The damage
pretty
is
much.
done, and there's no coming back from it at this point. He is literally mentally fucking broken in half.
Yeah. It's just sometimes stuff like that bothers me in movies. I don't know. I can't put a finger on it. You're fucking with me too much. I don't like that.
Yeah, well, that's what it's supposed to do.
Nah,
right?
Yeah. I'll admit it.
Yeah. But with that being said, where is this? Is this in the dumpster or is this on the shelf, boys?
This one's definitely in the dumpster for me, but this is like a top of the dumpster.
Really? The dumpster?
I wasn't crazy about this one. I did like it. But there's just a lot of little things, like mostly the ending and just the fuckery with the hand. I again, maybe on a rewatch, I might be a little higher on this film. A 2 out of 5, but sometimes like I always go back to the movies like The Suckling, 2 out of 5. Still enjoyed the hell out of it, and many other things we've covered on this show, honestly. But just didn't hit all the marks. Michael Caine kills it. I think all the back and forth with his wife, I think is a little overkill. We talked about it to death, but it's just like, shit or get off the pot, both of you.
Sure, 100%.
And this poor daughter in the middle. I kind of wish they explored the daughter angle a little more, honestly. But
she's suffering the most.
She is suffering the most, but there's so many scenes where there's like one person's in fucking New York and another person's in California, and they do a lot of this telephone tag shit. And maybe that was Oliver Stone's choice to kind of like get Michael Caine alone and really feed up the isolation element of the film, which I think does actually work very well.
Absolutely.
I think also just going into it, I kind of want a more hand-killing shit. But again, when you get to the end of the movie and you don't know if it was all in his head or not, it actually kind of makes sense that it's a little bit more subdued. So I really am conflicted on this film, I guess, at the end of this whole conversation. It's worth checking out, without a doubt. It's not the Jeff Fahey one I was expecting. Maybe that tainted it a little.
We'll come back to body. We'll come back around to body parts.
You know, that happens sometimes. You have an idea in the back of your head and it's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily affected me, but it's worth mentioning.
Okay.
I mean, I will say, I don't think it's in the dumpster. If I were to say it's in the dumpster, I would say it's right on the top where you're about to tie up the bag.
Okay.
And then throw it away.
Like the cannoli, the
Yeah.
George Costanza.
Yeah, it's right there at the top. You're like, you know what? This will go in recycling. Let me tie this bag up. But I still, it's very good. I like I like movies where someone kind of like has a lot of shit taken away from them, and they kind of do a descent into madness. Maybe I say, like, maybe this movie might have been a little bit better if this was made 10 years after he made it. He had a little bit more experience, and maybe the studio at that point would have given him trust him enough to not fuck with his vision. And maybe we could have got like the film that he really wanted, because he really wanted that descent into madness. He didn't want you to think it was a hand. He wanted you to just think that this guy's literally going crazy. But with the movie that we got, I really think it's very enjoyable.
I think it actually nails what he was going
Yeah,
for
it's
more than he thinks it does.
Well, the thing is, I know a lot of people want to talk shit about this movie. Even Michael Caine talks shit about this movie. But the thing is, like, why are you not happy with it? Because I don't understand what's there to not be happy with, because it's not you can think of it and look at the cover and think it's a slocky mess, but it's not.
No, it's very well put together.
The concept, if you say, like, if you gave me like the bullet points, it's a hand that kills people, but it might not be a hand. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe that seems kind of stupid.
It sounds like a Roger Corman joint.
I was going to say, Pinocchio's Revenge comes to mind, but that's actually even a little different than this even. That's kind of like very clear-cut, this is what happened by the end of that film.
Yeah.
But it is a fake out like this a little.
Yeah, this one I will
Same
say,
principle.
like, with this one, I mean, that is a good comparison, but like with this one, I would say it is more like, you don't really know. Okay, is it not? You don't have a definite answer, and still by the end of the movie, like,
You're still questioning it.
you still don't have a definite answer. You know what I mean?
Because he's still questioning it, or he's just succumbed to the fact that the hand is real.
He's affected it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, like, maybe you could cut to a scene where you're watching, like, maybe if you wanted definite answers, maybe you could cut to like a monitor of our conversation being recorded, and you actually see him strangle her. And then you're, okay.
That would define it.
Yeah. But I would say, I mean, I definitely don't think it's dumpster worthy.
No.
I mean, is it 5 stars? No, but it's still a good movie. And like I said, Michael Caine's acting's really well. He does a really good job in it. And I do like the fact that, like, it doesn't feel like another Michael Caine movie. You can tell he's being a completely different character. And when someone makes so many movies, and I don't mean any disrespect, but like, it's not like every time you watch a Ryan Reynolds movie, it's Ryan fucking Reynolds playing Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
But with a real seasoned actor, you don't get that.
Yeah.
And like I say, like we talk about the car scene, just him grilling her, like, what you think you were gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh my god,
Well, you think you're gonna run off and leave me?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like, it really resonates, that one. Yeah.
But good movie. And it's on the shelf.
Yeah. It's on the shelf, baby. I mean, I honestly think this is one of the best psychological thrillers of the early 80s. Honestly, and especially the boldness of coming out at a time where we were shifting to things like the slasher genre, but we're right smack dab in the middle of it.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. That is a good point.
So they took a chance on this, and I don't think it worked out. And I think that's why it gets a lot of flack and why it got a lot of shit, maybe, and why everybody kind of looks at it. I feel like it might be akin to the same thing as like Little Monsters, where like it's that thing where like everybody didn't have a good time making it. It might not have been the best production wise, but like and it wasn't appreciated at the time, but it's a very well made movie. I think this movie's great. Okay, it might not be what Oliver Stone's perfect vision of it was, like you were saying, but I think it does enough of what he wanted it to do that puts it a cut above the rest. There is hand stuff in it. There's not a lot of hand stuff in it, to Sean's point, which is funny because you were like, oh, there was too much hand stuff in it for Oliver Stone, but I think you need it there to keep the audience guessing a little bit more. And I think his descent into madness is really well done, especially like you have the beginnings of Oliver Stone's signature styles in this movie. They might be the infancy thereof, but like the editing, the black and white stuff, the writing, how the characters are portrayed, everything feels very real between him and Anne, and even the child, and even Brian and Stella. These are real interactions that I feel like that resonate with actually being real people on screen.
They're realistic.
They're realistic, and I think that lends to the legitimacy of the movie and what's happening. I buy that he's going fucking crazy. I buy that he's having problems in his life that are so overwhelming that he cannot bear it and has to confide in some kind of psychic
It's like a haint almost, right?
Well, psychic veil, you know what I mean? Where he is blacking out and
like a defense mechanism.
A defense mechanism, correct.
Yeah.
I think this movie is way fucking better than I think it might get credit for, and I know people appreciate this movie. I don't think enough people appreciate this movie. It's early Oliver Stone. It's a horror movie, and Michael Caine has said he shit on it, and Oliver Stone doesn't really like it. I think it's way better than those guys give it credit for. I think it's totally worth the watch. It still has that bleed of the 70s on it, like you get in the early 80s
The
movies.
tail.
That's one thing I do like about movies from that era, because the only thing that makes this feel 80s is when you hear Blondie. That's
And it's almost like it's kind of out of place.
Yes,
when you're listening to it and you're like, oh, that's kind of weird, and it's like I don't even associate that song with that year,
Yeah.
like, and
So-
these kinds of, you know what I mean? So that was kind of almost jarring, kind
around
of
the edge
to
of
me.
the decade.
Yeah. I think it's super well written, and it's kind of like a throwback to those psychological thrillers, like Hitchcockian almost.
I was gonna say, it makes me
type
think of like
deal.
EC Comics.
Kind of like
If
EC
the
comic.
hand was legitimately a zombie
Kind
coming
of,
after him.
it feels more like Hitchcockian to me.
Yeah, no, you're
type
right.
Of, type of story.
Mind fuck.
Yeah, it's a mind fuck. And just to put a point on that, like it's fucking written well, it's edited well, and it's acted fucking incredibly. I think Michael Caine does a really excellent job in this, and makes you really feel for that character. And it's just really good. I think I highly recommend checking this out if you haven't seen it, and especially now because we're right in the middle of winter. This is technically a Christmas movie, but it's
Just like the Boneyard's technically a Thanksgiving movie.
Right. But
One scene.
it's a winter flick that I like to revisit every year, and it only keeps getting better every time you watch it. And it is a movie that you probably should, to really give it a fair shake, I would say at least watch it 3 times in your life.
Okay, so in the next few years, we'll look for my follow-up on a live show.
Well, I'm just saying, I
Yeah, I
feel
know
like
what you mean.
Well, because you
It's
even said that.
complicated.
Well, you could even appreciate it again because you know what's going to happen,
True.
and you can pick out the smaller things,
That's
the details.
not to always correlate to another movie. I know I do that all the time, but I think of like Memento, which
Yeah.
I actually like a lot. But when you rewatch that movie, you're like, oh shit, because everything's being told
Yeah,
backwards.
right.
You get that appreciation. I get where you're coming from.
So I do 100% shelf, and I'm really looking forward to book to the movie because I got to see how this stacks up all the way to the end.
I'll
right?
come back for that because
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I got so pissed off reading that book. I was
Oh my God.
I'm like, I want to finish it for this review, but I can't do it because I'm like, I got to read all this. It's not like I can watch. It's not like I can take another hour and watch it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I probably got another like 6 hours of reading.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
I mean it's a lot to
Is this
digest.
one of those ones when CB gets here before we start recording? He's like, Joe, show him. What did you have me read? Like, we had to do something. It's not out yet, so we won't spoil it, but something we were working on with a little while ago.
I mean, it's the movie.
He was like, what is this book you got me reading? Like some real sexual shit. And we're like, well, that's the book, Smith. We'll see in a few months.
I mean, it does correlate to the movie that you're talking about. But
Yes. Without spoiling it.
yes. But yeah, man. So let everybody know where they can find the Video Villa podcast and when what do you got coming up?
So you can find us anywhere you find your podcast at Video Villa Entertainment, and we have a YouTube channel as well, so you can find us at Video Villa Entertainment. And if you just want to go to our website, videovillaentertainment.com, you'll find everything. It's all our links to our socials, and you can watch the latest and current episodes there and so forth. So we got a couple of stuff in the works coming up for the new year. This is the first I've actually pretty much planned out the entire year.
Oh, there you go, man.
Of what movies, because I was running into some, like, I really want to talk about a movie, but I don't know what I want to pick. And we got to do an episode in a week and stuff like that. So I finally was like, you know what? I'm going to actually put up a timeline. I'm like, okay, I want to talk about this movie. So we got some good stuff in the future. anything what's coming out when this episode airs, I'm not too sure that actually will be coming out. But,
Okay.
Definitely some good stuff. And last thing is every other week. So we release episodes every other Friday.
That sounds great, man. Don't forget to go check out Video Villa Podcast.
And after you check out Logan's show, if you want some more Movie Dumpster content, you can always head over to patreon.com/Movie Dumpster, where we have for the $2 tier, you can get yourself an ad-free audio version of the show. We also have a $5 and $10 tier where you can get yourself some merch, some Movie Dumpster merch, a glow-in-the-dark pin, a MD t-shirt. We also do live movie watch-alongs with you guys, the Dumpster Dwellers, where we watch a movie with you guys. We also do commentary tracks, mini-sodes, and a bunch of other stuff over on Patreon. And you can get some of that stuff here on YouTube with the YouTube membership program. And yeah, check it out if you want some bonus content. Patreon.com/Movie Dumpster.
And if you're watching here on YouTube, do us a favor and please like this video and share it. It really helps. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, do us a favor and leave that 5-star review. The reviews help more than anything, more than Patreon, more than buying t-shirts or anything like that. Support your favorite show.
And if you want to keep up with the Dumpster Dudes, you can always follow us on social media at Movie Dumpster, or head over to MovieDumpsterPodcast.com, where we got a calendar of all our upcoming live events, our newest episodes, and our store if you want to get yourself a t-shirt, a hat, or any Movie Dumpster merch. And keep an eye out for us in March. We're going to be at Monster Mania in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Check it out. We're going to be there. We'll have a table, chilling some dumpster merch. Come join us. It'll be a good time.
So that's it. That's The Hand from 1981, directed by Oliver Stone. I'm Joel Escola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
And I'm Logan.
Thanks for visiting the dumpster.